Chapter 1172. It turned out that this team was from the Divine Bird Palace. They had a huge advantage against ordinary warriors because they were the descendants of the three-headed crimson bloodbird and had bloodline power in their bodies. However, they were suppressed by the heavenly netherbird's bloodline. Not to mention whether their ancestor, the three-headed crimson bloodbird, could compete with the heavenly netherbird. After all, they were not their ancestor and the bloodline power in their bodies was very thin. Therefore, they had no power to fight against the heavenly netherbird. In fact, the suppression was much stronger than ordinary people. How about this? I won't make it difficult for you. If anyone doesn't want to go, you can wait here. After all, this is a special situation. An elder said in a deep voice. He was the 6th elder of the Divine Bird Palace, and his cultivation had reached the 7th level of Honored Realm. Hearing the 6th elder's words, these people fell silent. They really had to think about it. Although it was the core area and there were many treasures in front of them, it was also much more dangerous than other places. Moreover, there was a terrifying heavenly netherbird in front of them. If they were not careful and encountered it, they would definitely lose their lives. Therefore, all in all, the dangers ahead were greater than the rewards. For a moment, many people were hesitant. However, more people's eyes were burning with passion because as long as there was a chance, they would not give up. In the end, only a small half of the people chose to give up and wait in place. Most people chose to continue forward. Among these people, there were people from the older generation. They did not have much time left, so they wanted to go in and fight. There were also people from the younger generation. These people were young and energetic and had unlimited confidence in themselves. Therefore, they also wanted to go in and search for treasures. In fact, it was not only the Divine Bird Palace. Other forces were doing the same thing. Because it was too dangerous inside, they did not want everyone to go in. On top of a mountain range, there was a powerful team. The leader of the group was a woman in a purple dress who was as beautiful as a fairy. They were from the Morong family, and the woman in purple was Morong Chingching. At this moment, the silver-haired old woman was persuading Morong Chingching. Miss, you have the atavistic bloodline. Even if you don't go in, you will become a king in the future. Your future is limitless. There is no need to take risks for unknown treasures. The silver-haired granny's words caused the elders of the Morong family to continuously nod their heads. Indeed, he was right. Morong Chingching's bloodline had reached a state of atavism. His future was limitless. In addition, she was the little princess of the Morong family, so she enjoyed a lot of resources. Thus, it was only a matter of time before she became a ruler. To be honest, they really didn't want Morong Chingching to take the risk. After all, if it was a normal place, it would be fine. However, there was a terrifying heavenly netherbird in front of them. Who knew what would happen? However, Morong Chingching would not listen to them. At this moment, her beautiful face was filled with determination. Her beautiful eyes were also looking forward with incomparable light. To become a peerless expert, other than having a powerful cultivation base, one must have a firm and fearless heart. If I shrink back from even this little bit of danger, then how can I climb to a higher level of martial arts in the future? Furthermore, the path of cultivation is something that defies the heavens. How can there be no danger on this path? If I am always protected by my family, then I will forever be a flower in a greenhouse. I will never become a true peerless expert. Furthermore, he is also going there. I will not lose to that guy. The last sentence was said very softly. It was obvious that she was saying it to herself. Hearing this, the elders of the Morong family shook their heads and sighed. They knew that they could not change Morong Chingching's decision. The only thing they could do was to protect Morong Chingching as much as possible. Not only the Morong family, but the Palace of Gods of War, Deity Sword Villa, Senmu College and other forces were also rushing towards the core area. At this moment, Yin Feng of the Palace of Gods of War had already led the people from the Palace of Gods of War to the entrance of the Pine Palace. The Pine Palace was extremely majestic. It was like a heavenly emperor's city. It had an incomparably desolate aura. However, there was a huge hole in the city. The hole had obviously been smashed open from the inside. There were still countless remnants of black flames around it. It was obvious that the hole had been smashed open by the heavenly netherbird. That beast has already gone in. Everyone be careful. But this is good. It saves us the trouble of breaking the seal. As long as we follow the heavenly netherbird, the threat inside will be reduced to the minimum. The people from the Palace of Gods of War were excited. Because of Yin Feng, they were the first to find the Pine Palace. However, the people from the Merry Woods quickly arrived. Of course, this was all thanks to the little fatty, Zhou Qingho. However, when they saw the people from the Palace of Gods of War, their faces darkened. The rumored Pine Palace is right in front of us. Everyone must be careful, especially the people from the Palace of Gods of War. Elder Xiao Yao turned his head and said to the martial artists from the Merry Woods, especially Yin Feng. He is known as a lunatic. He does things without any scruples. His cultivation is extremely high. Even an ordinary 7th-level honored realm expert is not his match. So, if you really meet him, don't fight him head-on, Elder Xiao Yao warned. They had no choice. Although they had people on their side who could fight Yin Feng, he was indeed a lunatic. His actions were out of the ordinary. So unless it was absolutely necessary, they did not want to fight against such a person. After carefully warning them, Elder Xiao Yao sent people to carefully investigate the entrance of the cave. Although the heavenly netherbird had forcefully broken into the city, no one knew if there were other dangers inside. So, it was better to investigate first. After all, the master of the Pine Palace was an existence that could even seal the heavenly netherbird. For a moment, everyone was moving in close proximity. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui had also stepped into the core area. Moreover, the two of them were moving forward quickly. Suddenly, Lin Xian frowned. The lone star sword on his back began to tremble without warning, as if it was about to leave the sheath. Such a thing had never happened before. Lin Xian coldly snorted. The great dragon sword soul in his body circulated and quickly stabilized the lone star sword. Who is it that can affect my lone star sword? But soon, he revealed a shocked expression. This was because a powerful sword Dao energy came from afar. That aura was even stronger than his. A sword Dao expert. No wonder he can affect my lone star sword. Lin Xian's expression changed drastically. This was because he felt that the sword Dao energy was too terrifying. Let's go and take a look. Lin Xian waved his hand and sent another wave of energy into the white jade spiritual boat. Instantly, the boat flew forward like lightning. Chapter 1173. The sword chi was too terrifying. Not only did it alert Lin Xian, but many martial artists nearby also rushed towards the source of the sword chi. The white jade spiritual boat was very fast. Soon, Lin Xian arrived at the source of the sword chi. However, he did not go up rashly. Instead, he floated above the clouds. There was an 8-armed demon ape below him. The demonic beast was huge like a mountain. Its aura was even more terrifying. It had reached the peak of the 7th heaven honorable realm. It was only a step away from the 8th heaven honorable realm. It was obvious that it was an extremely terrifying demonic beast. At that moment, the 8-armed demon ape was roaring furiously. Its voice shook the sky as it stared fiercely at a figure in front of it. Lin Xian's eyes narrowed when he saw the figure. It was an elder. His hair and beard were all white. He wore an ordinary cloth robe and looked very simple. However, no one would think that he was an ordinary old man. That was because his aura was too sharp. He was like a peerless divine sword that stood in front of them. Just the sword chi that he emitted was enough to cut the surrounding mountains apart. There were a few young disciples behind the elder. They were all carrying long swords on their backs. They looked at the elder in front of them with fanaticism in their eyes. What a terrifying sword principal aura! The elder was from the deity sword manor. Lin Xian was shocked. Although he did not know the elder, he recognized the disciples behind the elder. Those people were wearing the deity sword manor's uniform. He had fought with the people from the deity sword manor before. Although the other party was very strong, he was not too afraid. However, he did not expect the deity sword manor to have such a terrifying person. That monstrous aura made even him endlessly shocked. Facing the terrifying 8-armed demon ape, the elder in the cloth robe was not afraid. He snorted and waved his arm. A sword chi was shot out quickly. Suddenly, the surroundings lost their color. With a scream, the eight-armed demon ape in front of them was cut in half. Blood splattered all over the ground. Behind it, countless mountains collapsed. The ground cracked open and spread for thousands of miles. This sword was terrifying to the extreme. The huge sword chi slashed forward, stirring up endless spiritual energy waves. The martial artists who had rushed over just happened to see this scene and were immediately shocked by the terrifying sword chi. Everyone's faces were filled with fear as they trembled at the sight before them. At this moment, the plain-clothed old man was like the resurrection of the sword god. Sword chi surrounded his body, and he was extremely sharp. It was as if he could slash apart the sky with just a raise of his hand. After the sword strike, the eight-armed demon ape's body was cut into two halves, and its blood dyed the ground red. This scene shocked everyone even more. One must know that the eight-clawed demon ape had reached the peak of the seven-star demon general realm, and was about to become an eight-star demon general. Such a terrifying demonic beast was probably something that only eighth heaven venerables could contend against. However, at this moment, he was killed by a single sword strike. It had to be said that this was truly too shocking. Sword venerable, it's him. It's really sword venerable. Someone looked at the linen-clothed old man and shouted, "What? It's him. No wonder it's so terrifying. That's a legendary figure. I didn't expect him to come to the hidden sky secret realm." The group of people cried out in alarm. Lin Xian was shocked as well. He didn't expect the old man in front of him to be the legendary sword venerable. That was a legendary figure, an existence who had almost become a king back in the day. Although he was old now and wasn't as powerful as he used to be, it seemed that they still couldn't contend against him. Lin Xian was especially shocked. It was the terrifying sword strike from before. He could also unleash that terrifying sword chi, but he definitely wouldn't be able to unleash it casually like the old man in front of him. It could be said that the old man in the linen clothes was the only martial artist that Lin Xian had ever seen who was better than him in terms of sword principle. It seemed that the sword venerable's name wasn't just for show. After killing the eight-armed demon ape with a single sword strike, the old man in the linen clothes wasn't surprised at all. He suddenly turned around and prepared to leave. However, just as he took his first step, he suddenly turned around and looked at a cloud in the sky. His gaze was like a sharp sword that pierced through the void. However, he only took a glance, then shook his head slightly and no longer paid attention to it. However, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui, who were hiding in the cloud, were shocked. Especially Zhao Shui, as if she was facing a great enemy. The blood in her body seemed to freeze. What a terrifying old man. His gaze is even sharper than a magical sword. Zhao Shui's face was full of fear. She didn't expect that the old man in the linen clothes could easily see through their hiding place. Lin Xian's face was equally solemn. That gaze just now also made his whole body tense. However, he had the great dragon sword spirit in his body, so he wasn't like Zhao Shui, who was in a state of condensing all of her qi and blood. However, that gaze still made him extremely fearful. When he looked down again, the old man in the linen clothes had already left. It turned out to be the sword venerable of the deity Sword Villa. He didn't expect the rumors to be true. The people of the Divine Bird Palace looked at the old man's back, their eyes full of fear. It wasn't just the Divine Bird Palace. The other martial artists along the way all looked at the old man's back nervously. It couldn't be helped. The old man's reputation was too great, and he had unleashed such a terrifying strike. They couldn't help but be afraid of such a person. Even the people of the Morong family, Mary Woods, and the Palace of Ares saw the old man's back. For a time, the elders of the major forces all gave orders, warning their disciples to be careful. At the same time, they sped up their investigation of the cave entrance. On the other side, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui rode the White Jade spirit boat out of the clouds, and then rushed forward. Soon, they saw the giant city that was as big as heaven and earth. What? It's that kid surnamed Lin. Damn it, why is he here? Seeing the people in the White Jade spirit boat, everyone became nervous, especially the martial artists nearby. They looked at the sky nervously, as if they were about to face something big. It couldn't be helped. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui were now famous, and it wasn't a good reputation. Because all the forces that fought with Lin Xian and Zhao Shui, no matter how big or small, or even the House of Kings, all suffered losses. No one was able to take advantage of Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. It was said that most people didn't believe it, but as more and more news came out, they had no choice but to believe it. The two of them were the nemesis of all the forces. That was why these martial artists were so nervous when they saw Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui's mouths twitched. They didn't expect that their appearance would cause such a big commotion. It seemed that these people were even more nervous than when they saw the sword venerable. When did we establish such a reputation? Lin Xian asked innocently. A bunch of trash. They must be scared. Zhao Shui regained her composure. Kid, I didn't expect you to dare to appear and steal from the Shin family. This time, I will let you know what regret is. The 13th prince looked at Lin Xian with a ferocious expression. Chapter 1174. At this moment, the majority of the Shun family's martial artists had already arrived near Pine Palace. This time, the 13th prince was confident. Brat, no matter how strong you are, you won't be able to escape. The 13th prince sneered. He had no choice. What happened in the ancient tomb had made him too sullen. If he didn't vent his anger, it would affect his martial path. You're that Lin Xian? You don't look that special. A handsome young man from the Shin family said with disdain. 11th brother, don't underestimate this brat. Although his cultivation isn't high, his combat strength is strangely strong. Don't be fooled by him. The 13th prince gritted his teeth and said, the last time, he had underestimated Lin Xian's cultivation and suffered a loss. However, this time, he would definitely not be fooled again. Elder Qing Yun's face was gloomy. He glared at Lin Xian with undisguised killing intent. However, he still tried to persuade the 13th prince. 13th prince, 11th prince, our top priority now is to enter Pine Palace. As for this brat, it won't be too late to kill him after we get the treasure. We can't be distracted by this brat. After all, this is a special time. Other than us, there are other forces like the Merry Forest. It wouldn't be long before the other families arrived. Hearing this, the 11th prince nodded his head. All right, we'll do as you say. But after I get the treasure, I'll teach this brat a lesson. Brat, I'll let you live a little longer. The 13th prince snorted coldly. Lin Xian didn't care about the Shin family's threat. Before he had a breakthrough, he could easily escape from the Shin family. Now, not only did he have a breakthrough in his cultivation, he had also condensed a lightning martial soul. His strength had increased greatly. Even if they had more people than before, if he really wanted to leave, they wouldn't be able to stop him. Therefore, Lin Xian stood on the white jade spiritual boat with his hands behind his back. He looked at the huge city in front of him without any fear. When he saw that there was a terrifying hole in the huge city wall, he revealed a shocked expression. Needless to say, this hole must have been created by the heavenly Netherbird. Just as Lin Xian was surveying his surroundings, a cold snort sounded from afar. Clearly, someone was very dissatisfied with Lin Xian's actions. Lin Xian squinted his eyes and looked in the direction of the voice. Then, he saw the people from the Palace of Ares. That cold snort came from Yin Feng of the Palace of War. Yin Feng's injuries had long since healed. However, whenever he thought of what had happened, he would go crazy. He wanted nothing more than to kill Lin Xian. It was all because of Lin Xian's interference that the news of Deep Pine Hall was exposed. Otherwise, with his strength, killing Mary Wood's little fatty would be as easy as flipping his hand. If he had succeeded, the news of Deep Pine Hall would not have spread so quickly. At that time, the Palace of War Gods would be able to enter the Deep Pine Palace before all the other factions knew about it and gain the upper hand. However, all of this was ruined by Lin Xian. Therefore, when Yin Feng saw Lin Xian again, he wanted nothing more than to kill him immediately. However, Lin Xian ignored Yin Feng's killing intent. Previously, he could not defeat Yin Feng. However, now that his cultivation had broken through and his strength had increased, he was no longer afraid of Yin Feng. If Yin Feng really wanted to fight with him, he did not mind letting him know what it meant to be strong. Don't worry, we will kill this kid sooner or later. Right now, Deep Pine Hall is our priority. The mysterious honorable martial artist stopped Yin Feng in the Palace of War Gods. Yin Feng nodded and did not act rashly. However, he looked at Lin Xian and revealed a cold smile. This time, he would not let Lin Xian escape. When the warriors from the other factions saw his expression, their bodies trembled and their faces were filled with fear. Many cultivators even took a few steps back in fear of being targeted by Yin Feng. They had no choice. If Yin Feng was an ordinary expert, as long as they did not provoke him, he would not provoke them for no reason. However, Yin Feng was different. He was called a lunatic and did things without any rules. The crowd didn't want to be targeted by this madman for no reason. So many of them dodged. Among those present, only Lin Xian dared to provoke Yin Feng so openly. At this moment, another powerful group arrived outside the huge city. The leader of the group was a woman in a purple dress who was as beautiful as a fairy. Murong Qingcheng. Everyone was shocked when they saw the lady. The 13th prince of the Shin family and the others also had a look of admiration in their eyes. They had no choice. Murong Qingcheng was simply too beautiful and had an extraordinary status. She was the princess of the Murong family. Whoever could marry her would receive great benefits. However, Murong Qingcheng had high standards and had never taken a fancy to a prince. Even so, they would not give up. As long as Murong Qingcheng was not married, they would have a chance. Even Yin Feng looked solemn when he saw Murong Qingcheng. Although he was called a lunatic and was feared by many, he did not dare to be careless when facing Murong Qingcheng. Moreover, they had exchanged blows before. The true Phoenix Imperial Jade Seal in Murong Qingcheng's hand made him very wary. Qingcheng, you're here. Just as Murong Qingcheng landed, a handsome young man walked out of the Shin family. This young man was dressed in armor and had an extraordinary appearance. Every move he made carried a powerful force. Judging from his aura, he seemed to be even stronger than the 13th prince and 11th prince. Indeed, this person was the 9th prince of the Shin family. His strength was even stronger than the 13th prince and 11th prince. Not only that, but the 9th prince's status was also extraordinary. He was the grandson of the great elder of the Shin family. As the House of Kings, the Shin family had many elders. However, there was only one great elder. His status and power were not something that ordinary elders could compare to. Therefore, as the grandson of the great elder, the 9th prince's status was very honorable. Moreover, he was the younger brother of the eldest prince of the Shin family. The eldest prince of the Shin family was Prince Qilin, one of the 4 princes of Tianwu, Prince Lingfeng of the Palace of Aries, Prince Anil of the Merry Woods, and Prince Moonwalker of the Murong family. They were one of the 4 most powerful people of the younger generation in Tianwu continent. As the younger brother of Prince Qilin, one could imagine how honorable the 9th prince's status was. At this moment, when the crowd saw the 9th prince walking towards Murong Qingcheng, they all had a sudden realization. Rumor has it that the 9th prince of the Shin family has been begging Murong Qingcheng. It seems that the rumor is true. Indeed, only someone like the 9th prince of the Shin family is worthy of Murong Qingcheng. The crowd discussed. Chapter 1175. Zhou Gongzi, on the other hand, strode toward Murong Qingcheng. He had been courting Murong Qingcheng for a long time, and it was not a secret among all the powerful parties that he liked Murong Qingcheng. Therefore, he had already regarded Murong Qingcheng as his woman. He knew that Murong Qingcheng would not think that way, but it was fine as long as he thought so. With his status and charm, no matter what kind of woman she was, she would not be able to escape from his grasp. Even if it was Murong Qingcheng, she would still be his in the end. Qingcheng, you're here. This place is very dangerous. You shouldn't have come. But don't worry. As long as I'm here, I won't let you be in any danger. Zhou Gongzi said with concern as he walked. He even put on a smile that he thought could charm thousands of girls. However, his smile soon froze. This was because Murong Qingcheng was not charmed by his smile. She did not even look at him. The beautiful purple-clothed woman ignored Zhou Gongzi, her beautiful eyes looking straight ahead. There was a white jade spiritual boat in front of them. A young man and a young woman were standing on the spiritual boat. The people around them also noticed this strange scene and quickly whispered among themselves. Zhou Gongzi, on the other hand, was stunned. His handsome face was extremely stiff at this moment. Impossible. Why is Qingqing ignoring me? Is it because I don't look good with my smile? Or is it because I don't care enough? Zhou Gongzi could not believe it. He quickly took a deep breath and shouted again, Qingqing. However, Murong Qingqing still ignored him. This scene made Zhou Gongzi feel as if he had fallen into an ice cave. An ominous feeling rose in his heart. Although Murong Qingqing had not promised him anything before this, the two of them were still on good terms. At the very least, they were still polite on the surface. However, Murong Qingqing had completely ignored him. She had even ignored him. He could not accept this huge change. He suddenly turned around, and his eyes became unusually sharp. He wanted to see who had attracted Murong Qingqing. However, when he saw the person behind him, he heaved a sigh of relief. This was because he could tell that Murong Qingqing's gaze was on Lin Xian and Lin Xian. Ninth young master was not the only one who saw it. The surrounding cultivators had all seen it. Could it be that this Lin Xian duo also stole Murong Qingqing's things? It can't be. He even dares to offend the Murong family? For a moment, the corners of everyone's mouths twitched, and their expressions were strange. Because of Lin Xian's previous behavior, they subconsciously thought that Lin Xian must have offended Murong Qingqing, which was why such a strange phenomenon happened at this moment. Zhou Gongzi's smile returned. He stared at Lin Xian with a cold glint in his eyes. Damned brat! How dare he offend Qingqing? If you don't want to die, then obediently kneel and kowtow to Qingqing and apologize. Otherwise, I will let you know how powerful I am. At the end of his words, a terrifying aura rose from Zhou Gongzi's body. Lin Xian was originally their family's enemy. However, for the sake of Pine Hall, they had not made a move yet. But now, Lin Xian had actually dared to offend Murong Qingqing. This was something that Zhou Gongzi could not tolerate. So now, he was going to make a move on Lin Xian. However, at this moment, Murong Qingqing shouted, Stop! Zhou Gongzi's raised hand stopped in midair when he heard this. He turned his head and said with a smile, Qingqing, don't worry. Dealing with a little thief is as easy as moving my fingers. It won't take much time. Since this brat dared to offend you, I will make him pay a painful price. Zhou Gongzi was very excited to stand up for Murong Qingqing. Although 13th young master and the others had suffered at the hands of Lin Xian, Zhou Gongzi was much stronger than 13th young master. So, he had absolute confidence in dealing with Lin Xian. However, Murong Qingqing frowned when she heard Zhou Gongzi's words. When she saw Zhou Gongzi walking forward, she finally could not hold it in anymore. I told you to stop. What's my relationship with you? Why do I need you to stand up for me? Besides, do you know what's the relationship between me and him? Who told you that I have a grudge against him? Zhou Gongzi was stunned by the series of questions. In fact, he was not the only one who was stunned. Everyone around him was stunned. They could not understand how things had turned out this way. What's the relationship between these two? Someone did not understand. You don't know? They are both disciples of Sinmu College. Someone said, It's not that simple. Look at Murong Qingqing's gaze. It's definitely not as simple as being from the same sect. Someone else said. In short, everyone was talking about it. Zhou Gongzi's face darkened when he heard this. He looked at Murong Qingqing again and found that there was a different emotion in her eyes. Could it be? Zhou Gongzi's heart sank. A bad feeling rose from the bottom of his heart. His face instantly turned pale. Murong Qingqing's gaze lingered on Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. No one could tell what she was thinking. Zhao Shui was expressionless when she felt Murong Qingqing's gaze. Lin Xian rubbed his nose helplessly. He was about to explain something when Murong Qingqing snorted. I'll deal with you when we get out. She rolled her eyes at Lin Xian and then led the Murong family to the vicinity of the giant city. Everyone was stunned when they saw this scene. They had never seen Murong Qingqing act like a little girl. Only people who were very close to her could act like this. It seemed that the relationship between these two was not ordinary. Everyone had different expressions, but Zhou Gongzi's face was terrifyingly gloomy. He had known Murong Qingqing for many years, but he had never seen Murong Qingqing act so intimately with anyone. But now, Murong Qingcheng was acting like this in front of so many people, and that person was not him. He could not tolerate this. Brat, how dare you steal my woman? You must have eaten a bear's heart and leopard's guts. I'm going to pull out your tendons and pull out your bones. I'm going to break your bones piece by piece. Jiu Gongzi's face was ferocious, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. He's going crazy. If Murong Qingcheng was stronger than him, then so be it. But Murong Qingcheng was clearly a piece of trash who was inferior to him in every way. Whether it was cultivation, status, or talent, Murong Qingcheng was inferior to him. How could such a piece of trash win Murong Qingcheng's favor? He could not understand. So, in his opinion, Murong Qingcheng must have used some despicable means to bewitch Murong Qingcheng. Brat, I want you dead. Jiu Gongzi's murderous intent was so intense that it formed a solid light that enveloped the surroundings. Feeling this murderous intent, the surrounding martial artists trembled, and a trace of fear appeared in their eyes. It seemed that Jiu Gongzi was really angry. Lin Xian naturally felt this murderous intent as well. His face immediately darkened, and sword light flashed in his eyes. Chapter 1176. Ninth Young Lord. At this moment, an elder quickly arrived in front of Ninth Young Lord and stopped him. Right now, the most important thing is to enter Pine Palace. We'll talk about other things later. Also, Lin Xian is very strange. His cultivation is not high, but his battle strength is terrifyingly high. What do you mean? Do you think I can't beat him? Ninth Young Lord's face darkened. That's not what I meant. What I meant was that if the two of you fight, the surrounding forces will definitely not just stand by and watch. They might even attack you. When that happens, we will be in a very passive position. Anyway, that brat can't run away. It won't be too late to kill him after we get the treasure. Ninth Young Lord's eyes flashed when he heard this. In the end, he nodded fiercely. Since that's the case, we'll do as Elder Qingshan says. Then, he turned his head and stared at Lin Xian again. Brat, I'll let you live a little longer. How dare you steal my woman? No one in this world can save you. With that, he snorted coldly and walked back into the Shun family's group. As Ninth Young Lord returned to the Shun family's group, the scene quieted down again. Everyone waited quietly for the exploration teams to return. Not long after, a few small teams flew out of the hole in the huge city. These people's auras were chaotic, and some of them were charred. It was obvious that they had encountered some trouble. How is it? Did you investigate thoroughly? Yin Feng stared at the figure from the Palace of Gods of War and asked. At the same time, the elder from Merry Woods asked in a deep voice. This was because they had also sent out an exploration team. We've investigated thoroughly. This is indeed Pine Palace. It seems that no one has entered before. However, although the Heaven Netherbird destroyed some of it, there are still many powerful restrictions inside. The exploration teams quickly reported their findings to their superiors. The people from Merry Woods did not hide anything. They knew that Pine Palace was not something that they could swallow alone. If necessary, they would need to join forces with other forces to break some ancient restrictions. Thus, they shared the information. After everyone received the information, they quickly digested it. At this time, the people from the Palace of Gods of War began to move. Due to the dangers inside Pine Palace, they only sent out martial artists above the sixth sky of Venerables. These martial artists were the elites of their families. They were powerful and should be able to deal with the situation inside. Soon, the people from the Palace of Ares entered the cave. The people from Merry Woods did not hesitate and followed him into the cave. Then, the Murong family, the Divine Bird Palace, and other forces entered one after another. However, during this process, Lin Xian did not see the main force of Senmu College. Although he was surprised, he was not too surprised. Because the Hidden Sky secret realm was extremely vast, the treasures inside would definitely not be limited to the Dark Pine Hall. Perhaps the people of Senmu College were seeking opportunities elsewhere. Moreover, the Pine Palace was filled with danger. There was also the ancient ferocious beast, the heavenly Netherbird. It was extremely dangerous. Perhaps this was one of the reasons why the people from Senmu College did not come. In fact, it wasn't just Senmu College that hadn't come. There were a few other major powers that hadn't come. Moreover, Lin Xian took a look at the forces that had come here. Not all of them were present. They must have left some of their members outside to avoid being completely annihilated. Lin Xian also knew that it was extremely dangerous inside, but he had no other choice. He took a deep breath and quickly entered the cave with Zhao Shui. Just as they approached the cave, Lin Xian felt the terrifying aura of the remaining black flames nearby. Although it was only a trace of it, it was extremely terrifying. Even a 7th-level venerable would have to be careful when dealing with it. If they were not careful, they could be burned. However, Lin Xian was not afraid. Instead, he was somewhat happy. With a wave of his hand, he gathered all the surrounding black flames to his body. When the martial artists behind saw this scene, their eyelids twitched and they stopped. Is this guy crazy? How dare he provoke so many black flames? These people looked at Lin Xian's figure and were shocked. They quickly distanced themselves to avoid being dragged down by Lin Xian. He's really courting death. This is the flame left behind by the heavenly Netherbird. Its power is extremely terrifying. Although it's only a trace of it, it's extremely terrifying. It's not something that ordinary people can fight against. Many people shook their heads. Indeed, the martial artists from before had all activated their defenses and carefully passed through the black flames. No one dared to provoke them. Even the 7th-level venerables did not dare to do so. However, Lin Xian had gathered all the surrounding black flames and attracted them to his body. Wasn't he playing with fire? However, the scene of Lin Xian being burned did not happen. When the black flames covered Lin Xian's body, they did not burn fiercely. Instead, they became much dimmer. It seemed to have been absorbed. Absorbed? How is that possible? Everyone's eyes widened in disbelief. Someone dared to absorb the heavenly Netherbird's flames? Isn't he courting death? Impossible. This boy must have used some sort of method to extinguish the flames. Everyone was shocked and doubtful. However, when they wanted to investigate, Lin Xian's figure had already disappeared into the cave. After entering the cave, Lin Xian and Lin Xian ran all the way. The remaining aura of the black flames could be seen everywhere. Along the way, Lin Xian quickly gathered the remaining flames together and absorbed them. Although there was only a small amount, he did not let go of a single trace. Other than the remaining black flames on the ground, the entire space was filled with an unusually violent aura. Lin Xian knew that it was left behind by the heavenly Netherbird. Palaces and pavilions appeared in front of them. There was a faint layer of light on top of them, as if they were in a fantasy paradise. In the center, there was a majestic palace that emitted a vicissitude aura. That should be the Pine Palace. Lin Xian looked ahead and noticed the huge hall at a glance. It was because that place was different from other places, and it had a different aura. Not only him, but everyone else also looked at the huge and majestic palace. Pong! Suddenly, an earth-shattering sound rang out. It reached the 9 heavens and caused the entire space to tremble. Everyone's faces were filled with fear as they looked ahead. In front of the Pine Palace, there was a huge figure. It was a huge demonic beast with black feathers all over its body. There were black flames burning on its body, emitting a violent and scorching aura. The heavenly Netherbird. The huge figure was the heavenly Netherbird. At this moment, it was waving its huge claws and rapidly attacking the Pine Palace. However, there was a huge defensive array around the Pine Palace that resisted the heavenly Netherbird's attacks. Everyone was stunned. Even with the heavenly Netherbird's terrifying attacks, it still could not break through the defensive array. One could only imagine how terrifying the defensive array was. One had to know that the heavenly Netherbird was an extremely terrifying existence. Even an 8-star demonic beast general could not withstand a single attack from it. Even a king-level demonic beast might not be able to resist it. However, after so many attacks, it still could not break through the defensive array. Chapter 11:77. This was simply too shocking. That's the Big Dipper Formation. It's extremely powerful. Even among the ancient formations, it's one of the strongest. The Crimson Dragon looked ahead with a solemn expression. Even a king couldn't break this formation. I didn't expect it to appear here. What? Even a king couldn't break it? Hearing this, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui were shocked. They didn't expect the formation to be so terrifying. No wonder the heavenly netherbird couldn't break it even after attacking for so long. However, this formation seemed to have angered the heavenly netherbird. It raised its head and screeched. Its voice tore through the 9 heavens. Black flames rolled around its body and formed a powerful black flame attack that fiercely blasted forward. This attack was too terrifying. Just the aftermath alone wasn't something an honorable realm martial artist could handle. Then, under everyone's horrified gazes, the black flame violently slammed into the light barrier. Suddenly, the entire light barrier trembled violently as if it was about to crack. However, what shocked everyone was that the light barrier didn't crack. Instead, it shone even brighter, forming 7 star-like light spots that quickly connected together. Finally, the 7 stars emitted 7 dazzling rays of light that blasted towards the heavenly netherbird. These rays of light were too terrifying. They weren't any weaker than a king's attack. The entire void was pierced through, and the ground rumbled like waves. The 7 light pillars slammed into the heavenly netherbird's body. The sound of the collision was like thunder. Everyone quickly sealed their hearing and retreated with pale faces. It was too terrifying. Just the sound alone was enough to make them tremble. If they didn't seal their hearing, they wouldn't have been able to withstand it. The heavenly netherbird roared crazily as it was attacked. Its huge body shook nonstop. The black flames on its body continued to burn like the flames of hell, resisting the 7 terrifying light pillars. This attack was too terrifying. It could even pierce through a king, but it was blocked by the heavenly netherbird. Everyone was hiding in the distance. When they saw this scene, they were shocked. It blocked it, as expected of a peerless beast on the heaven leaderboard. It's really powerful. Lin Xian was also shocked. This heavenly netherbird was too terrifying. All of them combined couldn't even withstand a single blow from it. However, even though it wasn't pierced by the light beam, the heavenly netherbird seemed to have been injured. Thus, it attacked the defensive formation even more ferociously. This kind of demonic beast is an invincible existence under the king level. No one can withstand a single attack from it. An elder of Merry Woods said with a serious expression, "What's even more terrifying is that the defensive formation can withstand so many attacks from the heavenly netherbird." The elder of the Morong family laughed bitterly. "If you want us to break it, I'm afraid we won't be able to do it." However, the people from the Palace of Gods of War were extremely excited. "It looks like we wouldn't have been able to break the array, but with the heavenly netherbird leading the charge, it's great." "That's right. When the formation is broken, we can sneak in quietly. We won't have to worry about not being able to get any treasures." The disciples of the Palace of Gods of War were excited. In fact, all of them had benefited from the heavenly netherbird. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to find the core area so easily. Moreover, they wouldn't have been able to pass through the huge city and enter here so easily. Thus, from the current situation, it seemed that these people had benefited from following the heavenly netherbird. With their previous experience, they were looking forward to the heavenly netherbird's next move. In front of them, although the Big Dipper array was terrifying, under the heavenly netherbird's ferocious attacks, it began to tremble violently. There were even cracks appearing in some places. This scene caused the eyes of all the major forces to light up as they became excited. Before this, they had no way of breaking the array. But now, cracks had appeared in the terrifying defensive formation. This was an opportunity for them. If they used the cracks, they might be able to find a loophole. If they could break it, they would be able to enter. At that time, they would be able to explore the mysterious Dark Pine Palace. Thus, many forces began to move. Of course, they couldn't go straight for the heavenly netherbird. Instead, they circled around to the furthest place from the heavenly netherbird. Furthermore, these cultivators all used their own methods to carefully move forward, afraid of being discovered by the heavenly netherbird. Luckily, the heavenly netherbird's ferocious attacks on the Big Dipper array caused the entire space to be filled with light and the spiritual energy to be extremely chaotic. This provided the best conditions for them to move forward. They carefully moved forward and quickly approached the array. However, The Big Dipper array was an ancient array after all. It was extremely powerful and was set up by a peerless expert. Although cracks had appeared under the heavenly Netherbird's attacks, the array seemed to be able to repair itself. The cracks only existed for a short period of time before returning to normal. When the heavenly serene bird attacked again, the cracks would reappear. Moreover, the cracks would only appear for a short period of time each time. However, the major forces did not give up. After all, they had some understanding of the remote sky secret realm. Thus, they had array masters in their teams. At this moment, they came in handy. After the research of these array masters, they found that the safest way to enter was through the cracks. If they tried to force their way in from other places, there would be a certain amount of danger. Cultivators below the king level would not be able to resist that kind of danger. Thus, for a time, the major forces focused their attention on the cracks. However, the cracks were random. Thus, no one knew where the cracks would appear. Moreover, the cracks only existed for a short period of time. Only by seizing the opportunity could they enter. However, after everyone's research, they found that there was a high chance that cracks would appear again. Thus, for a time, everyone began to fight for positions. The Palace of Ares was very domineering. They directly occupied the place with the highest probability of cracks appearing. The other warriors, such as Merry Woods and Divine Bird Palace, also quickly fought for positions. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui brought the Crimson Dragon and quickly moved forward. In terms of array mastery, no one here could compare to the Crimson Dragon. Thus, they quickly arrived near the array. However, they were few in number and did not manage to get a good position. However, they were not too worried. After all, there were many cracks. It was only a matter of time before they entered. However, not long after, Lin Xian frowned. This was because he found that after approaching the array, the frequency of cracks appearing decreased. Moreover, the cracks only existed for a short period of time. It was not enough time for people to enter. Ruzalong, is there a way to break this array? Lin Xian asked. It is very difficult to break the entire array. However, it is possible to let 1 or 2 people in. The Crimson Dragon said in a deep voice, "Give me some time and I can send you in." Chapter 1178. It was not wrong at all. It was extremely difficult to break the Big Dipper array. After all, the heavenly Netherbird was such a terrifying existence. Even after attacking for so long, it was still unable to break through. One could only imagine how terrifying the Big Dipper array was. Although the Crimson Dragon was very powerful in array formations, it was still unable to break through the Big Dipper array in such a short time. However, the array had already been damaged by the heavenly Netherbird. As long as they could exploit these flaws, they would be able to teleport people in. This might be impossible for array masters from other factions, but the Crimson Dragon could do it. Then hurry up, Lin Xian urged. He had a bad feeling about this, but he was not sure what it was. The Crimson Dragon nodded and waved its claws, touching the Big Dipper array. Immediately, ripples appeared on the Big Dipper 7 stars formation, releasing a 5-colored light. The dark red Divine Dragon quickly studied it. However, as time passed, Lin Xian frowned even more. Not only him, but Zhao Shui also frowned. You noticed it too? Lin Xian asked in a deep voice. Ever since we arrived, the frequency of the cracks has been very small. Until now, they have not appeared for a long time. Zhao Shui frowned and said. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui weren't the only ones. Gradually, the martial artists from the other forces began to realize what was happening. Soon, everyone began to panic. If there were no cracks, they would not be able to enter. Therefore, they were very anxious. The sound of the attacks has decreased. The elder of Merry Woods frowned. Yes, the chaotic spiritual energy in the sky has also disappeared. The members of the Morong family also had a serious expression. The people from the Palace of Ares seemed to have thought of something and quickly looked forward. Then, their expressions changed. God, the heavenly Netherbird disappeared? What? Disappeared? Everyone was stunned. How could the heavenly Netherbird disappear? Could it have already entered? The disappearance of the heavenly Netherbird caused everyone to panic. They could not understand how such a huge monster could disappear. Could he have entered a formation? Someone guessed. Hearing this, many people despaired. If the heavenly serene bird really entered the array, then they would have no chance. However, some other people quickly shook their heads, especially those great array masters. If the heavenly netherbird had entered the formation, it would have definitely affected it, but we didn't notice it at all. Hearing the words of these array masters, the surrounding martial artists relaxed. This was because these array masters were the elites of their families. They were very accomplished in the field of array formations. It could be said that their words were the truth. Therefore, when everyone heard the words of these array masters, they all relaxed. Luckily, as long as the heavenly netherbird didn't enter, everything would be easy. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. But where did it go? Everyone was puzzled. However, at this moment, a shadow cast down and enveloped everyone. Then, a cold voice sounded, "Foolish humans, what are you looking for?" Hearing this voice, everyone's expression changed, and then they subconsciously raised their heads. In the end, they saw a scene that made them despair. Above their heads, there was an enormous head. It was incomparably malevolent, and its ice-cold eyes were staring at them. The heavenly netherbird. Many people's faces were pale and filled with fear. They didn't expect the heavenly netherbird to come to their side without them noticing. Even Lin Xian was shocked. This was because before this, he didn't sense the other party's aura at all. This was too inconceivable. One had to know that the heavenly netherbbird's body emitted a scorching and violent aura, but it was able to disappear without a trace in an instant. It was able to hide from everyone's soul detection. As expected of an ancient demonic beast, this method was indeed terrifying. Not good, Run. More than a dozen martial artists were scared out of their wits and immediately fled into the distance. However, the heavenly netherbird snorted coldly. The black flames on its body quickly surged out and enveloped the martial artists in an instant. Then, the martial artists let out miserable cries and were burned to ashes by the black flames. Seeing this scene, everyone's scalps went numb and their pupils constricted. This was because there were 7th-level honorables among those people. However, they couldn't even block a single strand of black flames. This was too frightening. Without even lifting its eyelids, the heavenly netherbird had dealt with dozens of martial artists. Then, it snorted coldly again. The black flames on its body bloomed, and a terrifying and violent aura instantly enveloped everyone. Feeling this aura, everyone's faces were filled with despair. Their bodies trembled, and those who were weaker were pressed to the ground. Lin Xian felt this aura, and his face changed greatly. In the next moment, the great dragon's sword soul in his body was activated and was about to let out a dragon's roar. Fortunately, he discovered it quickly and quickly controlled the great dragon's sword soul so that it didn't let out any strange sounds. The great dragon's sword soul could indeed eliminate this terrifying aura, but that would also expose him to the heavenly netherbird. With his current strength, he was far from being able to contend with the heavenly netherbird. This was why he controlled the great dragon's sword soul. Now, what he needed to do was to not attract the heavenly netherbbird's attention. Otherwise, if the heavenly netherbird noticed him, he wouldn't be able to escape. At this moment, everyone's eyes were filled with deep despair. They didn't think that the heavenly netherbird would find them so quickly. Furthermore, they realized that the heavenly netherbird's aura wasn't something that they could contend with. Are we really going to die here? The young prodigies were filled with despair, and their eyes were filled with unwillingness. Lowly insects, did you really think that I didn't notice your existence? You still wanted to use me to enter the Dark Pine Palace? What a joke. The heavenly netherbird's cold voice resounded. Hearing this voice, the martial artists were shocked. At the same time, their eyes were filled with boundless regret. It turned out that all of their actions had already been discovered by the heavenly netherbird. The reason why it didn't kill them was probably because they were just ants in the eyes of the heavenly netherbird. It was laughable that they wanted to use the heavenly netherbird's power to enter the Dark Pine Palace. Now that they thought about it, they were really courting death. It was likely that their actions had caused the heavenly netherbird's dissatisfaction, resulting in this scene. Thinking about this, the martial artist's intestines turned green with regret. If they knew, They wouldn't have dared to come here even if they were beaten to death. At this moment, under the heavenly Netherbird's cold gaze, everyone's hearts trembled. On the other hand, Lin Xian quickly sent a message to the Crimson Dragon. Roussillon, are you done? Soon. Give me a little more time, and I'll be able to enter. The Crimson Dragon replied in a deep voice. Although the heavenly Netherbird's aura didn't affect him, his situation was still very dangerous. If the heavenly Netherbird found out that he was the Eastern Divine Dragon, his fate would be very miserable. Chapter 1179. He was from the Divine Dragon clan, and his entire body was filled with treasures. However, he did not have enough power to fight against the heavenly Netherbird. Therefore, he was more anxious than anyone else. Luckily, the heavenly Netherbird only stared at those people and did not notice him. The other warriors were driven crazy by the heavenly Netherbird. Its aura was too terrifying and could take their lives at any time. In the end, there were a few cultivators who couldn't bear the pressure and went crazy in this extreme despair. With a furious roar, the few of them seemed to have gone mad. They released their spiritual energy and fled into the distance. They could not take it anymore. The aura was too terrifying. Instead of struggling in despair, they might as well use all their strength to escape. Perhaps they would have a chance of survival. That was the thought of the few people who were running away. However, just as they ran, they were burned to ashes by a black flame. In the end, nothing was left. No. The other warriors roared crazily. They could only watch helplessly as their companions were killed, but they were powerless to do anything. This feeling was too despairing. Lowly worm. The heavenly Netherbird killed a few humans with a wave of its hand. However, it did not care. Its cold eyes scanned the crowd below. Those who were swept by its gaze trembled and quickly lowered their heads. Lin Xian's face was also gloomy. The situation was too dangerous. No one knew when the heavenly Netherbird would attack. Who would it attack? To everyone, this was an extremely torturous process. However, at this time, the Crimson Dragon sent a piece of good news. I'm ready. We can go in. Hearing this, Lin Xian's heart skipped a beat. However, he suppressed the joy in his heart and did not show it on his face. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If he missed it, he would not have another chance. Now that Zhao Shui and Roussillon were by his side, they could go in with him. However, Murong Qingcheng was a bit far away from him. He wanted to send a message to bring Murong Qingcheng with him. However, before he could send a message, the heavenly Netherbird suddenly turned its head and stared at him coldly. Lin Xian's hair stood on end after being stared at by the heavenly Netherbird. A huge pressure enveloped him, as if it was going to crush him. Not good, let's go. The Crimson Dragon also felt his scalp tingle. He didn't expect the heavenly Netherbird to be so sharp. It was able to discover their intentions in an instant. In the next moment, he no longer hesitated and quickly moved the formation. Immediately, 3 rays of light enveloped Lin Xian and the others. You 3 ants want to escape from me? How laughable. The heavenly serene bird showed a look of disdain. Then, it raised its huge claws and clawed forward. Suddenly, the empty palace cracked like a mirror, and countless black cracks appeared. In an instant, it enveloped Lin Xian and the other 2. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. Murong Qingcheng's face also changed. She didn't expect the heavenly Netherbird to attack Lin Xian. In the next moment, she raised her jade-like hand and was about to strike with the true Phoenix Imperial Jade Seal. However, he was held down by the silver-haired granny. Miss, it's useless. Even if you attack, you won't be able to save them. The silver-haired granny quickly stopped her. Indeed, the heavenly Netherbird was too terrifying. Even if a king came, he might not be able to subdue it, let alone people like them. Even if Murong Qingcheng attacked, she wouldn't be able to cause any harm. Instead, she might expose herself and draw the heavenly Netherbbird's anger onto the Murong family. On the other side, the people from the Palace of Gods of War and the Palace of Divine Birds were ecstatic. This was because they had suffered a lot at the hands of Lin Xian. Everyone hated Lin Xian very much, but they couldn't catch him. Now, the heavenly Netherbird had attacked Lin Xian. This was undoubtedly great news for them. No matter how strange this kid was, he wouldn't have any chance of escaping from the heavenly Netherbird. The ninth young lord of the Shun family also sneered, "Kid, you dare to steal my woman. Now you know what retribution is. Go to hell." Everyone thought that Lin Xian was dead for sure. There was no way he could survive. However, under the giant claw, 3 rays of light quickly merged into the Big Dipper formation. Then, with a swoosh, the 3 of them disappeared. What? This is impossible. They disappeared? How is this possible? Everyone's eyes widened as if they had seen a ghost. This was because they realized that Lin Xian and the other 2 had disappeared under the heavenly Netherbird's giant claw. They weren't burned to ashes by the black flames. Instead, they merged into the formation. That kid entered the formation. How is this possible? Everyone's mind went blank. They couldn't believe that Lin Xian could enter the formation. One had to know that even the terrifying heavenly Netherbird couldn't do anything against the Big Dipper formation. How could a kid at the 6th sky of martial honor enter it in an instant? The heavenly Netherbird was also stunned. Then, it became angry. It didn't think that 3 little human insects could escape from its hands. What made it even angrier was that the 3 of them seemed to have entered the Big Dipper formation. That damned array. Even she couldn't break it before, but 3 ant-like people were actually able to enter. This made her unable to believe it. With a cold snort, the heavenly Netherbird's giant claw viciously clawed forward. Bang! The giant black claw carried boundless black flames as it quickly bombarded the light screen. Instantly, it caused a shocking explosion. Endless waves of spiritual energy rushed forward like a tsunami. The void trembled and the formation roared. Although the heavenly Netherbird was furious, it still couldn't break the formation. Not only that, but countless cracks had also appeared in the surrounding space, making it impossible for anyone to hide. This also meant that the disappearance of Lin Xian's team of 3 was not due to some invisibility technique. Instead, they had truly disappeared. Damn it, how is this possible? This time, it was the heavenly Netherbird's turn to lose its calm. The black flames on its body burned fiercely. It was as if it was angry flames that wanted to burn the entire space. In the next moment, it suddenly turned around and stared at the remaining cultivators. Its cold voice sounded again. "Damn human insects. How dare you play tricks in front of me? I think you don't want to live anymore." After that, it snorted and waved its giant claws. Bang! Bang! The void split open and 3 terrifying black claw shadows quickly descended from the sky. Suddenly, dozens of cultivators were smashed into meat paste. Among them, the cultivators from the Palace of War, the Shun family, and the Divine Bird Palace were the closest. Therefore, the unlucky ones were the cultivators from these 3 families. It was funny that they thought that Lin Xian would be killed by the heavenly Netherbird. They didn't expect that they would be the unlucky ones in the end. The remaining cultivators trembled and their eyes were filled with despair. Terrifying. This is too terrifying. In the face of such an attack, they couldn't fight back at all. At the same time, they were shocked because they couldn't understand how Lin Xian got in. After venting its anger, the heavenly Netherbird calmed down again. Then, its cold eyes locked onto the crowd again. However, to everyone's surprise, the heavenly Netherbird didn't attack this time. Chapter 1180. Being stared at by the heavenly serene bird's cold eyes, everyone was scared and desperate. However, after a while, they realized that the heavenly serene bird did not attack them. This made them feel relieved, but at the same time, confused. With the heavenly serene bird's cruel personality, it would not let them go. Since it did not attack them, it could only mean one thing. They were still useful. Other than that, they could not think of a reason why the heavenly serene bird did not attack them. "Honorable heavenly serene bird, what do you need us to do?" At this time, an elder of the Divine Bird Palace stood up and asked in a respectful tone. To be honest, no one wanted to die, especially when facing such a terrifying existence like the heavenly serene bird. Even if they were being used, they were willing to do so. The heavenly serene bird's huge eyes turned and stared at the elder of the Divine Bird Palace. Then, Its cold voice sounded again. You are smart. You know what I mean. Yes, I do need you to do something. The heavenly serene bird looked at the elder and said, So you are the descendants of the 3 crimson blood birds. I did not expect to meet you here. Hearing this, the people of the divine bird palace were excited. The elder asked again, Does Lord Heavenly Serene Bird know our ancestors? Looking at his expression, he could not wait to become relatives with the heavenly serene bird. That way, he would not have to die. They had met once. The heavenly serene bird said in a deep voice, Work hard for me, and maybe I will spare your lives. Otherwise, even if you are the descendants of an old friend, I will not show mercy. At the end of the sentence, the atmosphere became heavy again. The whole space seemed to be frozen. Lord, please tell us what to do. We will do our best, even if we have to die 1,000 times. After that, the elder of the divine bird palace knelt down. Then, all the warriors of the divine bird palace knelt down in front of the heavenly serene bird. When the other warriors saw this, their faces changed. Although they did not kneel down like the divine bird palace, they quickly asked. Seeing that everyone had surrendered, the heavenly serene bird nodded with satisfaction and said, My request is simple. As long as you work hard, you will be able to do it. First, enter the Pine Palace, find the formation room and destroy it. Second, find the key to remove the star chains on me. As for how to enter the Pine Palace, you do not need to worry. I will send you in. Hearing this, the surrounding warriors were shocked. They didn't think that they would be sent to Deep Pine Hall to complete a mission. It seemed that the heavenly Netherbird couldn't enter the Pine Palace. Moreover, there should be restrictions on it, which should be the star chains. However, what made them happy was that they were able to enter the Deep Pine Palace. However, they were worried that the heavenly Netherbird's request wouldn't be easy. This array formation control room was definitely the most important part of Deep Pine Hall. They might not be able to enter, but they also had to find the key to lift the restrictions placed on the other party. If the restriction on the other party's body was broken, then the Heaven Netherbird would have nothing to worry about. If they destroyed the formation, then there would be nothing in the entire remote sky secret realm that could trap them. At that time, their lives would no longer be in his hands. Everything would be in the hands of the heavenly Netherbird. However, if they could find the key to unlock the star chains, they might be able to take the initiative and negotiate with the heavenly Netherbird again. Thinking of this, everyone's hearts burned with passion because they finally found the hope of survival. Don't worry, sir. We will definitely fulfill your request. The warrior of Divine Bird Palace said respectfully. The others also nodded in agreement. However, the heavenly Netherbird sneered. Although you agreed very quickly, I know that you humans are naturally cunning. If I let you in like this, I won't be at ease. What? Everyone's hearts thumped as a bad premonition arose in their hearts. Sure enough, the heavenly Netherbird continued, I will plant a black lotus mark on each of you. As long as you do as I say and complete the task, you will not be in any danger. However, if you dare to disobey my orders, the black lotus in your body will instantly turn into black flames and burn you to ashes. Everyone's faces turned pale as a touch of despair appeared in their eyes. It seemed that working for the heavenly Netherbird wasn't going to be easy. Not to mention the two things that were hard to find. The flames in their bodies were like a ticking time bomb that could explode at any time. What? You don't want to? The heavenly Netherbird sneered when it saw everyone's expression. How could that be? Sir, please do as you wish. The people of Divine Bird Palace didn't dare to resist as they knelt on the ground and said respectfully. Seeing that the people of Divine Bird Palace had spoken, the other warriors had no choice but to bite the bullet and agree. After all, the heavenly Netherbird was extremely ferocious and could kill people in the blink of an eye. They didn't want to become cannon fodder for its anger. Seeing that no one dared to resist, the heavenly Netherbird smiled with satisfaction. Then, the black flames on its body soared and turned into countless black lights that quickly merged into the bodies of the warriors. Suddenly, the warriors' bodies shook as they felt a black flame appear in their bodies. A black lotus mark appeared on the back of their necks. Although the flame was small, everyone could feel the terrifying energy contained within it. It could easily burn all the warriors below the king level to ashes. The others were smoothly planted with the mark, but Murong Qingqing's beautiful face turned pale. Her body soared with a huge light as if she wanted to resist. Seeing this, everyone was stunned. The Murong family's faces changed greatly. They couldn't understand why Murong Qingqing dared to resist in front of everyone. Murong Qingqing also smiled bitterly. She wasn't resisting at all. It was involuntarily produced by the power of the bloodline in her body. Even the heavenly netherbird was stunned. Its huge eyes stared at Murong Qingqing. There seems to be a trace of the phoenix bloodline in her bloodline. No wonder she could resist my black lotus mark. The heavenly netherbird was very surprised, but it didn't seem to be angry. This made the Murong family slightly relieved. However, in the next moment, their hearts were in their throats again. This was because the heavenly netherbird attacked again. It shot out a few black flames, and all of them entered Murong Qingqing's body. Suddenly, the five-colored light on Murong Qingqing's body was suppressed and finally disappeared into the air. A black lotus mark also appeared on the back of her fair neck. I didn't expect to meet a descendant of the three-headed crimson bloodbird and a warrior with the phoenix bloodline. It seems that you people are stronger than I thought. I think you should be able to do the two things I asked you to do. The heavenly netherbird seemed very excited. It waved its huge beast claws and grabbed at the Big Dipper array. Chapter 1181. Boundless black flames condensed and formed a black blade that quickly slashed at the Big Dipper array's light screen. This attack was very powerful, far more powerful than before. It directly slashed a 2-meter-long crack in the Big Dipper array's light screen. This crack was insignificant to the heavenly netherbbird's huge body, but it was enough for these human warriors. Hurry up and go in. At this moment, the heavenly netherbird coldly shouted. Suddenly, the surrounding warriors trembled and quickly entered the crack without delay. Only after all the warriors had entered did the dark crack gradually heal. Finally, it was as good as new. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Countless figures appeared in the array. Although they had entered the array, they could still feel the terrifying pressure from the heavenly netherbird outside the array. Not only that, but there was a voice in their hearts. Then, following the voice, they quickly turned around and looked behind them. Suddenly, something like a map appeared in the light screen between the heavenly netherbird and these people. This is the topographic map of the entire Pine Palace. You must remember it clearly. The map only existed for a short time. As the heavenly netherbird's voice disappeared, the map also disappeared. However, all of them were Exalt Realm experts, so their memories weren't bad at all. So, they'd instantly committed the map to memory. When the map disappeared, the black lotus mark on everyone's body no longer shone. Not only that, the pressure from the heavenly netherbird outside the array seemed to have weakened a lot. Feeling this change, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Then, they quickly gathered together according to their respective forces. At this moment, two figures rushed over from afar. One of them quickly shouted, "Qingqing, are you okay?" Seeing this figure, everyone was shocked. However, Murong Qingqing smiled sweetly. This was because these two figures were Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. The one who asked was Lin Xian. "I'm fine. It was scary but not dangerous." Murong Qingqing smiled. At this moment, a cold snort sounded, "Boy, you dare to play tricks in front of the heavenly netherbird. You're definitely dead this time. Once we get out of here, Lord Heavenly Netherbird will definitely burn you to ashes." The people of Divine Bird Palace sneered. The ninth young master of the Shun family was also staring at Lin Xian with a murderous look in his eyes. The others had strange expressions on their faces because they still couldn't figure out how Lin Xian had gotten in. Hearing Shi Shan Niagong's threat, Lin Xian snorted coldly. "A bunch of idiots. How dare you laugh at me? Do you really think that the heavenly netherbird will let you go after you help him?" Hearing this, everyone's heart thumped. Yes, with the heavenly netherbird's cruel personality, how could it let them go? Perhaps the heavenly netherbird would kill them after they finished their mission. The faces of the people of the Divine Bird Palace also became very ugly. They were also confused by this question, but they didn't want to see Lin Xian's proud expression. so they said coldly. No matter what, Lord Heavenly Netherbird is still a great figure that has surpassed the king realm. The words of such a person can definitely be trusted. As long as we help him complete his mission, he will definitely let us go. Lord, Lin Xian looked at the people of the Divine Bird Palace with disdain. I really don't know if you guys are humans or monsters. How dare you call a peerless beast Lord? If it was a human expert, maybe I could believe it. But for a monster, I really can't find any reason to believe it, Lin Xian said coldly. Hearing this, everyone hesitated. Are we really going to help the Heavenly Netherbird complete his mission? But what can we do if we don't complete the mission? Our time is limited, and the Heavenly Netherbird has set up a seal. If we don't do as he says, once the time is up, the black flames in our bodies will burn. At that time, we won't be able to escape. Many warriors shook their heads and sighed. Maybe we can find the key to the star chains and then negotiate with the Heavenly Netherbird, a warrior said in a deep voice. Hearing this, everyone's eyes lit up and they nodded. This was indeed a good idea. However, just as they smiled, the warrior who suggested this idea suddenly burst into flames. The black flames instantly covered the warrior. In the blink of an eye, the warrior was burned clean and no longer existed. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. It was as if they were shrouded by a huge fear. Their bodies couldn't stop trembling. It's burning. The black flames in our bodies are burning. Someone said in a trembling voice, This is impossible. We just came in and didn't do anything. Also, the time limit is still very long. How could it burn for no reason? Everyone was terrified and couldn't understand. However, they didn't know that outside the defensive array, the Heavenly Netherbird was staring at them coldly. Humph, a bunch of ants trying to control me. What a joke. It turned out that the Heavenly Netherbird was monitoring their every move. It could even hear their conversation clearly. However, the people inside the array were completely unaware of this. At this time, the Crimson Dragon opened its mouth. Stop talking. The Heavenly Netherbird can hear your words. That guy spoke rudely just now and naturally angered it. That's why he ended up like this. What? It can hear our conversation? Hearing the Crimson Dragon's words, everyone was shocked. However, they soon understood. This was because each of them had a black lotus mark on them. This thing was extremely strange. Perhaps the Heavenly Netherbird could hear their conversation through this mark. Why don't we use our divine sense to communicate? Someone suggested, Don't waste your energy. Nothing you do can escape the Heavenly Netherbird's surveillance. So, I advise you to stay here obediently. The Crimson Dragon said coldly. Because he was once in existence above the king realm, he knows the methods of people of that realm very well. The methods of those peerless figures were definitely not something that these sovereigns could understand. Hearing this, everyone's faces turned ugly. It was as if they were being monitored and couldn't do anything to threaten the Heavenly Netherbird. In other words, their lives were firmly in the hands of the Heavenly Netherbird. From the conversation, Lin Xian also knew the goals of these people. First, they wanted to find the array room that could control the array. Second, they wanted to find the key to the Heavenly Netherbird's astral chains. After hearing this, Lin Xian's eyes flashed. Previously, he and Zhao Shui had entered early, so they weren't very clear about what was happening outside. However, it seemed that even though the Heavenly Netherbird was terrifying, it couldn't enter the array in a short period of time. Moreover, there seemed to be a powerful restriction on its body. Chapter 1182. However, it seemed that even though the Heavenly Netherbird was terrifying, it would not be able to enter the formation for a while. Moreover, there seemed to be a powerful restriction on its body. That was why they were looking for the key to remove it. Originally, Lin Xian had no way to deal with the powerful Heavenly Netherbird, let alone obtain the black flames on its body. However, it seemed that it was not impossible. As long as they could find the key to the stellar chains, with the help of the Crimson Dragon, they might have a chance. Lin Xian did not want to kill the Heavenly Netherbird because he knew that even if he found the key, he would not be able to kill it. His goal was the black flames on the Heavenly Netherbird's body and the essence blood in its body. These two things were what both he and the Crimson Dragon wanted. Therefore, it seemed that they had to find the key to the stellar chains before anyone else. Furthermore, he would absolutely not allow anyone to destroy the control room of this defensive array formation. However, there was one more thing he had to do, and that was to save Morong Qingqing. Ruzalong, is there any way to get rid of the black flames in Qingqing's body? Lin Xian asked. Because the heavenly Netherbird did not place the Black Lotus mark on him, he was not worried that the heavenly Netherbird would hear his and the Crimson Dragon's words. In my current state, it will not be easy to get rid of the black flames. Moreover, the heavenly Netherbird might discover it during the process. If it explodes, we will not be able to do anything. However, I can use some methods to temporarily cut off the connection between the heavenly Netherbird and Morong Qingqing's black flames. Then, I will slowly research a way to break it. The Crimson Dragon replied, Okay, let's do that for now. Afterwards, Lin Xian pulled Morong Qingqing to his side and let the Crimson Dragon set up a formation in her body to temporarily suppress the Black Lotus mark. This scene shocked everyone as they looked at Lin Xian with fiery eyes. This was because they knew that if they could suppress the mark, it would mean that they would be safe for a period of time. However, Lin Xian didn't care about them at all. Even the Morong family only saved Morong Qingqing. Firstly, he had a special relationship with Morong Qingqing, so of course he had to save him. Secondly, he was not familiar with the others, so there was no need for him to do anything. Furthermore, suppressing the black flames wasn't an easy task. With the current cultivation of the Crimson Dragon, suppressing one of them wasn't easy at all. For the sake of the Crimson Dragon's stamina, Lin Xian didn't let him save anyone else. However, although he set up a formation for Morong Qingqing, Lin Xian still didn't let Morong Qingqing follow him. Instead, she was allowed to return to the Morong family. This was because he knew that it was safer for Morong Qingqing to stay with the Morong family than by his side. The next step was to explore the Pine Palace. Lin Xian took a deep breath and flew forward with Zhao Shui. Let's go too, Morong Qingqing said in a deep voice. Then, he led the Morong family and set off. After that, the warriors from the other forces also set off. The Pine Palace was the core area of the tranquil heavenly secret realm. There were definitely many treasures inside. If they could obtain one or two of them, their strength would definitely increase greatly. Although they still couldn't fight against the heavenly Netherbird, they could at least protect themselves. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui took the lead and quickly moved through the palace. Soon, Lin Xian's eyes lit up and he quickly flew to the side. What a rich spiritual energy! He stopped in front of a small purple tree. Wu Ji, the little white monkey, seemed to have smelled a fragrance and immediately flew out of the demon beast bag. It looked at the purple tree in front of it and squinted its big eyes. This is good stuff. This is the purple spirit grape. The Crimson Dragon was also drooling at the side. However, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui were much more careful because they knew that there would definitely be danger in the vicinity of these natural treasures. It would either be a powerful formation or a powerful demon beast. Therefore, the two of them didn't make a move and quickly looked around. You two don't look. Hurry up and pick them. The Crimson Dragon roared and quickly ran forward. He waved his dragon claws and grabbed the purple grapes. However, in the next moment, he grabbed nothing. Wu Ji, the little white monkey's body flashed and picked all the purple grapes. Then, it quickly ate them. F***CK. Damn monkey. Why are you so fast? Give Bin Huang some. The Crimson Dragon and the little white monkey started to fight over the grapes. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui were shocked because they realized that Little White was not in any danger during the entire process. Could it be that we're overthinking things? Lin Xian asked suspiciously. Maybe. The corner of Zhao Shui's mouth twitched slightly. The little white monkey didn't care about that. It waved its furry paws and quickly gave some of the grapes to Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. It seems that we really thought too much. Try it, Lin Xian said with a smile. Then, he put a purple spirit fruit into his mouth. As soon as the spirit fruit entered his mouth, it turned into pure spirit energy and quickly flowed through his body. What pure spiritual energy! No wonder it's the treasures of Pine Palace. It's extraordinary. Lin Xian's eyes lit up. That fingernail-sized purple grape was equivalent to 2 to 3 months of hard work. Needless to say, it was definitely good stuff. At the side, Zhao Shui ate one and smiled. Then, she activated her void sky eyes and quickly scanned her surroundings. In the next moment, she was shocked. They were flame fruit, Kirin grass, half-moon fruit. One by one, strange spirit fruits appeared in her field of vision. Moreover, there were no powerful restrictions around the spirit fruits, nor were there any powerful monsters guarding them. You two don't have to be too surprised. Although these spirit fruits are precious in the outside world, in Pine Palace, they are just ordinary fruit trees. The Crimson Dragon explained as it flew forward. The little white monkey was even faster. It turned into a bolt of white lightning and shuttled through the fruit forest. As expected of an ancient expert, such a good spirit fruit is only an ordinary fruit tree here. Lin Xian took a deep breath and flew forward with Zhao Shui. Since there were no restrictions, they didn't hold back and quickly picked the fruits. Just as Lin Xian and Zhao Shui entered the fruit forest, the other warriors behind them arrived. When they saw the spirit fruits on the ground, their eyes lit up. Don't be rash. Be careful. An elder stopped a few young warriors who were about to rush over. Then, he sternly lectured them. Young man, don't be rash. There must be a powerful restriction or a ferocious monster near these treasures. You must be careful. Don't be reckless. Otherwise, it's not a big deal if you don't get the spirit fruits. If you lose your life, the losses will outweigh the gains. The elder was very serious as he educated his subordinates. The other warriors nodded. Indeed, in their opinion, since there were so many natural treasures in this place, there must be extremely powerful restrictions in the surroundings, or there must be a peerless, ferocious beast. Chapter 1183. Let's work together. The group carefully scanned the surroundings and slowly approached the orchard. At this moment, a rustling sound came from the orchard. It sounded like something was crawling. There's movement. Many people focused their attention and stared straight ahead. The young warriors were also nervous. Fortunately, they had the guidance of the elders. Otherwise, they might have become monsters' lunch if they had rashly gone up. Those martial artists also had lingering fear on their faces, and they were very grateful to the elder who stopped them. However, the next moment, the young warriors were all stunned. Their eyes widened as if they could not believe what they were seeing. This was because what was walking towards Guolinli wasn't a powerful demonic beast, but a dark red snake. Hey, isn't that Lin Xian's pet? Why is it here? Yes, there should be a powerful restriction array here. Why is it fine? Could it be that they broke it? The group of people was extremely puzzled. Even those of the older generation were stunned. Damn you, you're the snake. Your whole family are snakes. The Crimson Dragon stomped his feet in anger and took a bite of the Kirin fruit in his hand. What is it eating? Could it be a supreme-grade spirit fruit? The crowd ignored the Crimson Dragon's curses and stared at the spirit fruit in his hand. Yes, it looks like a supreme-grade spirit fruit. It's definitely a supreme-grade spirit fruit. The group was excited and wanted to pounce on it immediately. However, they had just been lectured by the elders and did not dare to move forward rashly. There must be a powerful restriction array in a place with such a supreme-grade spirit fruit. Damn it, how did they get in? Could it be that they broke the array? This kid could enter the Big Dipper array in such a strange way. The group looked ahead suspiciously. The Crimson Dragon was also stunned when he heard the crowd's conversation. Then, he burst into laughter. These people also thought that there must be a terrifying restriction array in the vicinity of the orchard. It seemed that they still did not understand what kind of place the Pine Palace was. However, he would not let these people in so easily. He immediately said loudly, "Of course there is a restriction array, and it's a very powerful one. However, Ben Huang is a formation grandmaster. Of course, he'll be able to open a bloody path. As for you guys, you won't be able to. If you don't believe me, you can try. I can guarantee that no one below king level will be able to walk in alive." What? So powerful? Everyone's expression changed when they heard this. Even though they didn't really believe it, The other party was an existence that could enter the Big Dipper formation without anyone noticing. If they were to really compete in terms of array formations, it was likely that none of them would be a match for the other party. Therefore, for a moment, these people were shocked. When the Crimson Dragon saw that his words had frightened countless warriors, he laughed in his heart, but on the surface, he pretended to be very calm. But you don't have to worry. If you acknowledge me as your king and become my human pet, I can consider helping you enter. What? You want us to be your lackeys? Why don't you just die? Damned snake! How dare you boast so shamelessly? I'll kill you when I come out. A group of people roared in anger. Who were they? Most of them were experts from top forces, and many of them were disciples of the House of Kings. Their identities could be said to be very noble. However, now, a snake wanted to take them in as servants. How could they accept this? However, after the Crimson Dragon heard this, he waved his dragon claws disdainfully. A group of ignorant things. When Ben Huang was all-powerful, your ancestors weren't even born yet. Being Ben Huang's human pet is definitely a blessing that you've cultivated for 8 lifetimes. Now, you're still chirping and complaining that you're not willing. Let me tell you, not everyone can be Ben Huang's human pet. Only 7th Heaven Venerables or disciples of the House of Kings can barely be my human pet. Hearing this, the 7th Heaven Venerables and cultivators of the House of Kings' faces instantly darkened. Damn it! This snake was too abominable. It was obviously targeting them. These elders were so angry that their beards trembled. Murderous intent filled their bodies. They couldn't wait to rush up and chop this snake into 108 pieces. However, they didn't dare to do so. This was because these old fellows firmly believed that there must be a powerful restrictive array near the orchard. Therefore, they could only watch the Crimson Dragon hoot and didn't dare to do anything. Seeing these people's darkened faces, the Crimson Dragon felt refreshed. At this time, Lin Xian and the other 2 in the orchard were almost done with their harvest. Therefore, they quickly walked over. Lin Xian glanced at the cultivators in front of him indifferently. Then, he called the Crimson Dragon and quickly walked out of the orchard. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked, especially the array masters. Their eyes were wide open. They had to see clearly how the other party broke the restrictive array. However, they were soon dumbfounded. This was because they realized that Lin Xian and the others didn't break the restrictive array at all. Instead, they swaggered out. How is this possible? Could it be that there was something profound about their footwork? A group of array masters were quickly analyzing the situation. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui, who hadn't gone far, heard these words and laughed. However, they wouldn't explain anything. The Crimson Dragon, on the other hand, laughed loudly. He turned around and looked at the people in the distance with disdain. Haha, a bunch of idiots. You can slowly analyze it. When the cultivators behind heard this, they were so angry that they vomited blood, especially the array masters and the older generation figures. Their faces were hideous. Damn that snake. I'm an array master. I don't believe that I can't break it. That's right. If we join forces, we can definitely break it. The young martial artists looked at each other in dismay as they discussed among themselves. Why do I feel like there's no restrictive array here? I think so too. Look at Lin Xian. He's just walking casually. He doesn't look like he's breaking the restrictive array. Yeah, could it be that the elders made a mistake? Although the voices of these disciples were soft, the soul perception of the older generation was extremely sharp. Therefore, they heard everything that was said. Suddenly, the elders' faces darkened. Many of them turned around angrily. No restrictive array? How is this possible? Kid, today I'll let you know the dangers of being young and ignorant. After saying that, one of the array masters reached out his hand, grabbed a young cultivator, and threw him into the orchard in front. The others screamed in fright. They didn't expect the array masters to attack them. The young cultivator who was thrown was even more confused. He even forgot to resist. Plop. The young cultivator fell heavily into the orchard. However, the next moment, everyone was stunned. They realized that there wasn't any powerful killing array that they had imagined. Chapter 1184. The young warrior got up from the ground and quickly walked a few steps in the forest before laughing maniacally. Ha 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 ha, I'm fine. I'm not dead. After laughing maniacally, he ignored the others and picked the spirit fruits in a frenzy. He's fine. When the other young warriors saw this, they were overjoyed. Without caring about anything else, they quickly rushed forward. Sure enough, until they entered the orchard and ate the supreme-grade spirit fruits, they did not find any danger. Seeing this scene, the elders and array masters were so angry that they vomited blood and trembled all over. Shameful, too shameful. They even had the heart to die. After studying for a long time, they found that there was not even a defensive array in this place. It was laughable that they acted like seniors and showed off in front of the disciples. Now that they thought about it, they were horribly ignorant. Impossible. How can this be? These are supreme-grade spirit fruits. How can there be no defense? The elders and array masters were about to go crazy. This was completely different from what they had imagined. How could they know that the supreme-grade spirit fruits in their eyes were just ordinary fruits in Pine Palace? There was no need for a defensive array. The elders were about to go crazy. They did not expect to be fooled by a snake. Thinking of this, their faces turned red and they wanted to find a hole to hide in. Damn worm, don't let me see you again. Otherwise, I'll cook you and eat you. Yes, and that Lin Xian. How dare he pick so many spirit fruits in front of us? He deserves to die. The elders and array masters gritted their teeth and said. However, they could not care less about Lin Xian now. Instead, they ran to the orchard in front of them like the wind. Damn little brat. Leave some for this old man. These people ran into the orchard and snatched the spirit fruits in a frenzy. There were still a few spirit fruits in the orchard, but most of them were picked by Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. They did not care about the rest. However, at this moment, in the eyes of these people, this was a rare treasure. Lin Xian did not know that the spirit fruits he left behind would cause such a frenzy. At this moment, he and Zhao Shui were heading back to Pine Palace. Along the way, he discovered that the spirit fruits that he had seen in the outside world were all over the place. Moreover, this was only the periphery of the Dark Pine Hall. One could imagine how many good things there would be in the real Dark Pine Hall. Therefore, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui ran quickly. They gave up on ordinary treasures because there were better ones ahead of them. Of course, if they found any special treasures along the way, they would also take them. In short, the harvest on this trip was far greater than the sum of all the treasures before. Suddenly, an abnormally strong fragrance came from the front. This immediately attracted the attention of Lin Xian and the others, especially the snow-white monkey. It was so anxious that it was scratching its ears and cheeks. The crimson dragon was even drooling. It smells so good. This is the real good stuff. Lin Xian was also pleasantly surprised. Just from the fragrance alone, he could imagine the spiritual energy contained within it. At a glance, he could tell that it far surpassed the spiritual fruits he had obtained before. Zhao Shui was also astonished, and there was a trace of excitement in her beautiful eyes. The two of them looked at each other, then quickly moved forward. Not long after, a tall tree appeared in front of them. It was an ancient tree. Its branches were old and withered, resembling a coiled azure dragon. From the looks of it, it was at least a few thousand years old. What was even more surprising were the leaves and fruits on it. Its leaves were silver and shone with a silver light, as if they were made of silver. Its fruits were a fiery red, as if they were burning with fire. The rich fragrance from before was emitted by this ancient tree. This is the silver leaf fire phoenix tree. The crimson dragon looked ahead with a serious expression. Silver leaf fire phoenix tree. Hearing this, Lin Xian's pupils constricted as he stared ahead. He had received the inheritance of the Niwa of Gojoseon and the teachings of Lord Alcohol previously. Therefore, he was very familiar with the spiritual herbs in this world. Therefore, he also knew the legend of the silver leaf fire phoenix. This was an extremely precious ancient tree that was rarely seen even in ancient times. If the silver leaves were plucked to make tea, it could increase a warrior's soul power. One had to know that it was very difficult to increase a warrior's soul power, and there were not many spiritual herbs that could increase one's soul power. This silver leaf fire phoenix fruit was one of them. The red fruit was called the phoenix fruit. It could temper a warrior's body and increase their spiritual power. It could be said to be an extremely pure source of energy. If the two were used together, it could also increase a warrior's martial soul. Perhaps other spiritual fruits could increase one's soul power and spiritual power, but there were very few things in the world that could increase one's martial soul. However, this silver leaf fire phoenix fruit could do it. Therefore, in ancient times, this was a treasure that countless warriors went crazy for. Hearing Lin Xian's introduction, Zhao Shui was also shocked. She did not expect to encounter such a precious item here. However, at this moment, a surprised voice came from behind. It's the silver leaf fire phoenix tree. That's great. We're rich. We're rich. Hearing this voice, Lin Xian's face darkened. He did not expect someone to recognize this ancient tree. Without needing to turn around, several figures had already landed nearby. The person at the front was the middle-aged man from the palace of Ares, Duan Tianlang. The warriors behind him were also experts from the palace of Ares. These people all looked forward, their hearts burning with excitement. There are hundreds of silver leaves and dozens of fire phoenix fruits. We're really rich this time. Duan Tianlang looked forward, extremely excited. The ancient tree was very old. It was not as luxuriant as other ordinary trees. On top of it, there were only hundreds of silver leaves fluttering in the wind. In the middle of the silver leaves, there were dozens of fiery red fruits. It sounded very little, but this was already a lot. One had to know that one could not even find one in the outside world. Duan Tianlang licked his lips, then turned his head and stared at Lin Xian. Kid, get lost. This place has been reserved by the palace of Ares. He naturally did not want to share such good things with others, so his first reaction was to chase Lin Xian and Zhao Shui out. F***you. We found this place, so it should be ours. If we want to reserve this place, we should be the ones to reserve it. You people from the palace of Ares, get lost from Bin Huang. Otherwise, don't blame Bin Huang for being rude. The crimson dragon stomped its feet in anger. The silver leaf fire phoenix tree was useful to it, so it would not give it away. Kid, I advise you not to make a mistake. You can't beat us. Moreover, my senior and Yin Feng are nearby. When they arrive, you won't be able to leave even if you want to. Duan Tianlang's expression was fierce as he threatened Lin Xian. Brother Duan, don't worry. I'll help you. At this moment, another loud laugh was heard. Chapter 1185. Brother Duan, don't worry. I'll help you. At this moment, another loud laugh was heard. Then, the people of the Divine Bird Palace quickly flew over from afar. They greeted Duan Tianlang and then stared at the ancient tree in front of them with fiery eyes. Brother Duan, how about you and I join forces to drive this thief away first? The elder of the Divine Bird Palace said in a deep voice. Of course, I've wanted to do that for a long time. Duan Tianlang nodded. The Divine Bird Palace was an ally of the Palace of Ares, so they could share resources. Moreover, the Palace of Ares was not as strong as the Palace of Ares. When the time came to divide the treasures, the Palace of Ares would take the lion's share. Therefore, Duan Tianlang did not reject the elder of the Divine Bird Palace. The most important thing now was to drive Lin Xian and Zhao Shui out, because the two of them were simply too strange. Previously, in the cave mansion, the great house of kings fought for it, but in the end, it was taken advantage of by these two thieves. This matter made him feel bitter. Therefore, he had to drive Lin Xian away now. Then, the warriors of the Palace of Ares and the Divine Bird Palace all stared at Lin Xian with evil intentions. Seeing this, the Crimson Dragon was furious. He glared back fiercely. If the other party dared to attack, he would set up a killing array and fight to the death. Zhao Shui's expression was also cold, ready to attack at any time. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was very calm. I'm standing right here. If you want to attack, go ahead. You're courting death. An elder of the Crimson Divine Bird Palace roared, then stretched out his palm, quickly grabbing at Lin Xian. The palm was like a lid, covering the sky and the sun, quickly falling in front of him. Accompanying it was a terrifying pressure. The violent palm power was like the roar of 10,000 beasts, causing the whole world to tremble. This palm was very fierce. The elder of the divine bird palace did not hold back. However, Lin Xian remained unmoved. Only when the frightening palm approached did he raise his arm and point a finger. Terrifying sword chi flew out from his fingertips, like thousands of soldiers and horses, with a strong killing intent, quickly soared into the sky. The moment the terrifying sword chi appeared, all the surrounding martial artists felt an indescribable pressure. In the next moment, everyone saw the huge palm being split apart by the terrifying sword chi. Then, Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back, while the elders of the divine bird palace retreated, their faces full of shock. Damn it! How is this possible? This brat's strength has increased again. The elder of the divine bird palace was terrified. This was because Lin Xian had previously been able to contend against a 7th-level venerable, but he had definitely not been as calm as he was now. Being able to break through the attacks of 7 venerable ones with a casual attack was simply too shocking. 6th heavenly layer venerable. No wonder. Seems like this kid's cultivation base has improved. The elder of divine bird palace gritted his teeth and said. However, on the other side, Duan Tianlang's face was gloomy. This was exactly what he was worried about. Qianxi had merely advanced by a single realm, yet his cultivation and combat strength had undergone a tremendous change, and this caused him to be unable to help but feel terrified. If you still want to attack, then use your full strength. Don't hold back anymore. Duan Tianlang reminded him. Don't worry, I know what to do. The elder of divine bird palace nodded heavily. Then, a terrifying aura rose from his body. Terrifying spiritual energy surged like a tsunami, making a roaring sound. In the next moment, countless thunderbolts surged out and condensed into a thunderbird in front of him. The violent thunderbolts brought about great destructive power, causing all the martial artists to be terrified. In the face of Lin Xian, the elder of divine bird palace finally summoned his martial soul. Thunderbird martial soul? Lin Xian's lips curled into a disdainful smile. If this is all you've got, I advise you to get out of here as soon as possible. Brat, don't be so arrogant. I'll let you know how powerful I am. The elder of divine bird palace snorted coldly. Then, he raised his arm and endless spiritual energy poured into his martial soul. In the next moment, the Thunderbird martial soul was called. With divine thunder all over the sky, it quickly rushed toward Lin Xian. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Lin Xian snorted coldly. In his body, endless purple-white thunderbolts surged out and condensed into a humanoid lightning. This humanoid lightning was purple-white and surrounded by electric light, as if the thunder god was roaring. Following Lin Xian's movement, the humanoid lightning threw a punch. Suddenly, the whole space collapsed. Countless thunderbolts covered the sky and the earth, instantly covering the whole sky. Although they were both thunder martial souls, Lin Xian's thunderbolts were composed of the 6,000-year-old purple thunder bamboo and the mysterious Yin thunder. Its power was definitely not something that the elder of divine bird palace could resist. Therefore, without any surprise, the Thunderbird martial soul of Divine Bird Red was blown away by the punch. The elder of Divine Bird Palace turned pale and could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. How is this possible? He surpassed me in thunderbolts. The elder's face was full of horror and disbelief. He was the descendant of the 3-headed Crimson Bloodbird, and the 3-headed Crimson Bloodbird was best at 3 attributes: wind, fire, and thunder. What he cultivated was the thunder attribute. Not only that, but he had also condensed the Thunderbird martial soul. Chapter 1186. Duan Tianlang heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that Lin Xian and the other man did not stop them. Then, he regained his confidence again. Although the other party was powerful, there were only 2 of them. On the other hand, they were 2 top forces. If they really fought, he could guarantee that the other party would not be able to gain any advantage. Therefore, in his opinion, the reason why Lin Xian did not stop them was because they were powerful. He did not even think about the ancient tree at all. You guys go up and pick all the silver leaves and spirit fruits, Duan Tianlang and the elders of Divine Bird Palace ordered. Immediately, the young warriors walked out quickly with ecstasy on their faces. So what if Lin Xian was powerful? He could only watch them snatch the spirit fruits. They knew a thing or two about the effects of the spirit fruits. Moreover, there were many of them here. If they performed well, they might be able to get some. Thinking of this, the young warriors became even more excited. They sped up and strode forward. There were even 2 young cultivators at the 6th level of the honorable realm who wanted to snatch the spirit fruit before everyone else. However, just as the 2 warriors approached, the ancient tree in front of them suddenly shook. The branches seemed to have turned into the sharpest divine spear and instantly pierced through the 2 warriors. The attack was so sudden that the 2 warriors did not even have time to react before they were pierced by the branches. Just as they were about to struggle and resist, a strange power suddenly came from the branches and sucked their flesh and blood essence dry. Plop, plop. 2 sounds were heard. Then, 2 dried corpses fell to the ground. This scene shocked everyone. Those warriors who wanted to pick the fruits all stopped in their tracks. Not only that, but everyone had a horrified expression on their faces as if they had seen a ghost. It could not be helped. This was too terrifying. The ancient tree that they thought was within their reach had launched an attack so fiercely. In an instant, it had pierced through 2 sixth heaven venerables. A one-hit kill, clean and tidy. Behind them, Lin Xian sneered. Just as he had guessed, the spirit fruits were not so easy to pick. But Duan Tianlang and the elder of Divine Bird Palace narrowed their eyes and their faces changed. The reason why they asked their disciples to do it was because it was inconvenient for them to do such a thing with their status. But they didn't expect such a thing to happen. Soon, Duan Tianlang recovered from his shock and quickly shouted, "Everyone, back off." In fact, there was no need for him to shout, as those young martial artists had already retreated. They simply did not dare to go up again. When all the warriors retreated to their sides, Duan Tianlang and the elders of Divine Bird Palace quietly breathed a sigh of relief. But soon, their expressions became very ugly. Judging from the ancient tree's attack, even a 7th-level venerate might not be able to safely pluck it. It seems that we've made a mistake this time. Duan Tianlang took a deep breath, his voice extremely solemn. When he turned around and saw Lin Xian's mocking expression, he was instantly enraged. Damn it, I was tricked. Judging from the other party's expression, it was as if he knew that there was danger ahead of time. However, the other party didn't say anything and didn't even try to stop them. It was obvious that they were trying to trick them. At the thought of this, Duan Tianlang's expression became extremely ferocious. Kid, don't be so smug. Do you think this can stump us? Let me tell you, the Palace of Ares is much more powerful than you think. Believe it or not, you won't be able to get a single spirit fruit on this tree, Duan Tianlang roared. You don't have to worry about whether I can get the spirit fruit or not. I'm more curious about whether you can get the spirit fruit or not. Lin Xian sneered with his hands behind his back. Humph, don't be so arrogant. I'll open your eyes today. Duan Tianlang snorted coldly, then turned around and stared at the ancient tree in front of him. In the next moment, he roared and quickly attacked. His tall figure exploded with an incomparable amount of energy. A ray of light flashed and a huge hand that covered the sky grabbed forward. Duan Tianlang was indeed powerful. Even among the 7th-level venerates, he was a very powerful existence. The huge hand formed by spiritual energy directly enveloped the entire ancient tree and even formed a sealed space, trying to uproot the ancient tree. The ancient tree sensed danger, and all the branches on its body began to tremble. Every branch emitted an incomparable amount of light, as if they were spears of the demon god, rapidly piercing into the void. Rumble. There was an intense collision sound. Countless branches turned into sharp spears and ruthlessly pierced into the huge hand of spiritual energy, creating a loud, clanging sound. Then, countless holes were pierced into the huge hand of spiritual energy. In the end, it couldn't hold on any longer and turned into spiritual energy again, dissipating into the sky. The hundreds of spears turned into branches once again and quickly dropped down, drifting with the wind. What? It blocked it. How is this possible? The martial artists behind were stunned. They couldn't believe that an ancient tree could block the full attack of a 7th-level venerate. Even Duan Tianlang was shocked. He didn't expect his attack to be so easily blocked by the other party. It seemed that the ancient tree was more difficult to deal with than he had imagined. At this moment, Lin Xian burst out laughing. Ha ha ha, I'm dying of laughter. Is this the strength of the Palace of Ares? It's really an eye-opener. Hearing Lin Xian's mockery, Duan Tianlang's face became extremely ferocious. At this moment, the elder of the Divine Bird Palace strode forward and said in a deep voice, "Brother Duan, I'll lend you a hand." "All right." Duan Tianlang nodded heavily, and his eyes lit up again. He ignored Lin Xian and stared at the ancient tree in front of him again. This time, he was going to summon his martial soul and attack with all his might. Duan Tianlang's martial soul was a demonic wolf with green wings. It was very valiant. When the demonic wolf appeared, it immediately exploded with an extremely violent power, as if a peerless beast had awakened. On the other side, the elder of the Divine Bird Palace also summoned his Thunderbird martial soul. The two of them joined forces and quickly attacked forward. This was the attack of two 7th-level venerates. Its power was unimaginable. In an instant, a terrifying pressure filled the entire space. If this wasn't the Pine Palace, the entire ground would have collapsed. Even so, the terrifying energy caused the entire ground to tremble slightly. The Thunderbird flew, bringing with it unparalleled thunder and lightning. Huge thunderbolts quickly descended from the sky and bombarded the surroundings. Even a 7th-level venerate would find it difficult to block such an attack. In an instant, countless thunderbolts blasted towards the ancient tree in front of them. At the same time, the winged demonic wolf also ran with all its might. It opened its mouth and spat out a gray gust of wind. Ordinary mountains and rivers couldn't withstand this gust of wind at all. They would probably be turned into ashes in an instant. Two terrifying balls of energy soared into the sky like rocks piercing through the sky. The scene was extremely terrifying. Chapter 1187. That's great. With the two elders attacking with all their might, we'll definitely be able to take down the ancient tree. That's for sure. I'm afraid only an 8th-level venerable can resist such a terrifying attack. Even if the ancient tree is powerful, it's definitely not at this level. Behind them, a group of martial artists and disciples were extremely excited. However, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes with a sneer on his lips. He did not think that the two's attacks would pose any fatal threat to the ancient tree. Sure enough, the ancient tree would not just sit and wait for death. It sensed the threat and immediately emitted an extremely bright light. The silver leaves in the sky swayed and immediately formed 9 silver snakes. They danced wildly in the air and quickly resisted the terrifying lightning bombardment. Meanwhile, the red fruit kept moving and formed phoenixes. They were bathed in flames and quickly rushed toward the earth demon wolf. Countless energy collided and then smashed apart. The entire space was flooded in an instant. The disciples' expressions changed drastically as they retreated. They could not withstand the impact of the energy at all. However, Lin Xian did not retreat. Countless sword chi rushed out of his body and quickly destroyed the violent flow and energy aftermath. The air around him was very quiet. There was no trace of energy riot at all. The entire space was filled with violent flows and was filled with infinite danger. However, Lin Xian's surroundings were terrifyingly quiet. There was no trace of energy riot. When everything vanished into thin air, the martial artists in the distance were stunned. This was because Duan Tianlang and the elder who were fighting the ancient tree were retreating in an extremely embarrassing manner. Both of them had suffered some injuries. What? Did they fail? Seeing this, everyone panicked. If the two experts could not even get the spirit fruit, it would be very difficult for them to do so. Duan Tianlang and the elder from the Divine Bird Palace were even more shocked. They looked ahead in a daze. Then, they shook their heads and sighed as they opened their palms. There was a silver leaf in each of their palms. This was the spoils of war that they had used all their strength to get. However, they did not feel any joy. Instead, they felt a sense of horror. After all, both of them were 7th-level venerables. Moreover, they were not ordinary 7th-level venerables. The two of them were very powerful when they joined forces. However, they only managed to get 2 silver leaves and even suffered some injuries. It had to be said that the tree demon in front of them was too powerful, far beyond their imagination. They even suspected that Lin Xian already knew about this, which was why he didn't stop them. Thinking of this, Duan Tianlang looked back. When he saw the mocking smile on Lin Xian's face, he was even more certain of his suspicions. Damn it, this brat already knew. As expected, with that kid's character, how could he not make a move? It turns out that he already knew that the tree demon ahead was very difficult to deal with. The elder of the Divine Bird Palace also had an ugly expression. However, at this moment, Lin Xian said slowly, "The performance of the two of you is really unsightly. Dignified 7th-level experts and elders of top forces actually only managed to obtain 2 leaves. If I were you, I wouldn't have the face to live in this world. I advise you to find 2 pieces of tofu and knock yourself to death, so that you don't embarrass your family here. What did you say? Brat, you're courting death." Duan Tianlang and the elder of the Divine Bird Palace were furious. Although they did not succeed, they would not allow themselves to be ridiculed like this. "What did I say? What I said is the truth." Lin Xian sneered. "You want to occupy this place without any ability? You're really boasting shamelessly. Both of you, get lost. Don't delay my attack." Hearing this, Duan Tianlang and the elder of the Divine Bird Palace trembled with anger. Even the disciples' faces darkened. Duan Tianlang roared and was about to rush up to Lin Xian. However, the elder of the Divine Bird Palace held him back and said coldly, "Brother Duan, don't be rash. That tree demon is so powerful. I'm afraid only 8th-level venerables can contend with it. No matter how powerful that brat is, he can't reach 8th-level venerables' combat strength." Hearing this, Duan Tianlang calmed down. I'd like to see what ability this brat has. How dare he mock us?" After saying this, he and the elder of the Divine Bird Palace retreated and watched coldly. The disciples of the 2 forces sneered. They did not believe that Lin Xian could be stronger than their 2 elders. "Let this brat act. Let's see how he ends up when he fails. What a joke. Who does he think he is? How dare he try to subdue such a terrifying tree demon? What shameless boasting. Just watch. He'll definitely fail." No one believed that Lin Xian would succeed. Even Zhao Shui looked doubtful. "Lin Xian, do you have a way? If we join forces, we should be stronger than the 2 of them. However, I'm afraid we won't be able to take much. However, we can still take 5 or 6 portions." Lin Xian smiled and replied, "We don't have to join forces for the time being. I have a way." For some reason, seeing Lin Xian smile made Zhao Shui feel more at ease. This was because she had seen too many miracles happen to Lin Xian. Therefore, this time, she chose to believe in Lin Xian. "Brat, can you do it? Do you need me to set up a formation to help you?" At the side, the Crimson Dragon was also worried. "No need. Let me try first." Hearing Lin Xian's words, the Crimson Dragon hurriedly explained, "Brat, you must be careful. If I'm not wrong, that ancient tree should be a tree demon. And it's very powerful. I'm afraid it's at the level of an 8-star demon general. Otherwise, it's impossible that the 2 of them couldn't even subdue it. Now, it seems that only an 8th-level supremacy can subdue that guy. However, if we join forces, we might be able to get a lot of spirit fruits." However, Lin Xian still shook his head. He naturally knew that the ancient tree in front of him was a tree demon. Moreover, it was an extremely powerful tree demon. In terms of combat power, no one could compete with it. However, it was precisely because it was a tree demon that he had a way to subdue it. In the next moment, he stepped forward and looked coldly in front of him. "I know that you've activated your spiritual intelligence and can understand what I'm saying. Hand over half of the silver leaves and spirit fruits obediently, and I can spare your life." What? Hearing this, Everyone was stunned. They thought that Lin Xian would attack the tree demon forcefully, but they did not expect him to threaten it. This brat must have been kicked in the head by a donkey. If such threats were effective, would he even have a chance? Ha ha ha, I'm dying of laughter. I already knew that he couldn't do it, but I didn't expect him to be so weird as to threaten the tree demon. This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. That tree demon isn't even afraid of 2 7th-level supremacies. Why would it be afraid of the threat of a 6th-level brat? Chapter 1188. The group of people looked at Lin Xian and laughed maniacally. Duan Tianlang and the elder of the Divine Bird Palace were also puzzled. When they saw Lin Xian's confidence, they thought that he had some powerful killer move. They did not expect to see such a comical scene. I was wondering what it was. It's just a clown trying to please the crowd. The elder of the Divine Bird Palace sneered. An ant will always be an ant. How can you expect it to create a miracle? Duan Tianlang also sneered. How dare you go against the palace of Ares with this level of skill? You're courting death. Even Zhao Shui and the Crimson Dragon were dumbfounded. They did not expect Lin Xian to threaten them. Zhao Shui's mouth twitched slightly. Her expression was very strange. The Crimson Dragon covered its face with its claws and wailed. Shameful. This is too shameful. This kid is hopeless. As far as it was concerned, Lin Xian's actions were simply foolish to the extreme. He had specifically warned Lin Xian that the tree demon was very powerful. He did not expect it to have no effect. Lin Xian's words were too shocking, so everyone was stunned for a moment. However, no one believed that Lin Xian was telling the truth. Thus, many people had mocking expressions on their faces. Even the ancient tree in front of him was enraged when it heard this. An unusually violent and terrifying aura was emitted from the ancient tree. Suddenly, the entire space shook violently. When the warriors in the distance felt this aura, the mocking expressions on their faces disappeared. Instead, they were all horrified. This aura was too terrifying. It was far beyond what they could withstand. Even Duan Tianlang and the elder of the Divine Bird Palace changed their expressions. Fortunately, they did not continue to attack. Otherwise, they would not have ended up well. This aura made both of them tremble in fear. Haha, this kid is dead for sure. He angered the tree demon in front. Even an 8th-level honorable would not be able to withstand this aura, let alone this kid. Hey, let him pretend. This time, he screwed up. Even though the disciples were terrified, they were laughing coldly in their hearts. They wanted to see how Lin Xian would be able to create a clone in the face of certain death. However, Lin Xian wasn't worried at all. He looked at the angry tree demon in front of him and sneered. Then, he formed a seal with both hands, and a black ball of light quickly appeared in front of him. The black ball of light flipped and turned into a small black cauldron. That small black cauldron was very simple and unadorned, and there were all kinds of strange beasts carved on it. It gave off a mysterious feeling. The appearance of the black cauldron seemed to have caused the treant in front to feel uneasy. The treant let out an angry roar, and then countless branches turned into divine spears that quickly pierced forward. Immediately, light soared into the sky, shaking space and time. Although they were far away, everyone could feel the terrifying power within the light. Even Duan Tianlang and the elder of the Divine Bird Palace felt their eyelids twitch, and their faces changed. Countless divine rainbow-like lights pierced through the void and quickly pierced toward Lin Xian, enveloping him in an instant. However, in the face of such a terrifying attack, Lin Xian's expression didn't change. He only activated the small black cauldron in front of him and shot out a jet black light. Buzz! The small black cauldron emitted a simple and deep sound. This sound seemed to have a magical quality, and it clearly sounded in everyone's hearts. When the treant in front heard this sound, it was as if it had been struck by lightning, and its entire trunk kept shaking. Suddenly, the thousands of mountain-like spear lights disappeared without a trace. What? They disappeared. Seeing this, everyone was stunned. They didn't expect a sound to be able to make thousands of divine spears disappear. This was too incredible. Not only that, But what made them even more shocked was that the ancient tree in front of them was shaking rapidly, as if it had encountered something terrible. Lin Xian held the small black cauldron in his hand and shot out another jet black light into the ancient tree in front of him. Suddenly, the ancient tree in front of them shook even more violently, as if it would collapse at any time. Not only that, an old face appeared on the trunk of the tree, and its voice was filled with anxiety. "Stop, stop, stop, stop fighting. I admit defeat." "What? Admit defeat?" The powerful and terrifying Treant actually admitted defeat? How is this possible? Everyone was stunned and couldn't believe it. However, what surprised them was yet to come. The Treant said again, "As long as you stop, I'm willing to give you half of my leaves and the fire phoenix fruit." Hearing this, everyone's mind went blank and they were dumbfounded. Especially Duan Tianlang and the elders of the Divine Bird Palace. They were even more stunned. Before this, they had fought so hard and only managed to get 2 leaves. Now, Lin Xian only took out a small black cauldron, and the ancient tree in front of them was willing to give up half of its leaves and fruits. The difference between the two was like heaven and earth. The disciples were even more dumbfounded, as if they were watching a myth. Zhao Shui's beautiful eyes were also wide open. She didn't expect Lin Xian to have such a trick up his sleeve. The Crimson Dragon stared at the small black cauldron suspiciously. Lin Xian was very satisfied. When he discovered the ancient tree in front of him, he had already discussed with Zero and his body. In the end, Zero readily agreed to help, but he wanted to collect some interest, which was some silver leaf liquid and fire phoenix fruit. That was the reason for the previous scene. "Okay, Rousalong, Little White, the 2 of you go and search." Soon, the Crimson Dragon and Little White Monkey flew forward like lightning, and then the 2 of them began to collect the silver leaf and fire phoenix fruit. Seeing this scene, the surrounding martial artists' faces burned with passion. This was an absolute treasure. It was something that could increase the power of one's martial soul. If they missed this opportunity, they might not be able to find it again in the future. Hence, they were unwilling to give up. Finally, an elder of the Palace of Aries couldn't help but make a move. Duan Tianlang didn't stop him, because she also wanted to test if she could succeed. If this elder succeeded, she would lead the people of the Palace of Aries to attack quickly. However, this elder was only halfway out when he was whipped back by the tree demon in front of him with a branch. That elder's spirit armor was completely shattered, and the flesh around his wound rolled up, revealing his white bones. Just one whip was enough to severely injure a 7th heaven honorable. This scene made countless martial artists gasp. After seeing the power of the tree demon, those martial artists didn't dare to make a move. They could only watch as Lin Xian and the rest collected the fire phoenix fruit. This scene made them extremely jealous. Soon, the Crimson Dragon and Little White Monkey collected half of the fire phoenix fruit, and then the 2 of them quickly returned. Seeing that the other party didn't kill them, the tree demon heaved a sigh of relief. On the other hand, Lin Xian was cheering as he shared the silver leaf and fire phoenix fruit. Chapter 1189. Everyone had a share, but the biggest beneficiary was Ling Xian, followed by the 10,000 bee sting. Zhao Shui, the Crimson Dragon, and the others had also received some. It could be said that the harvest this time was very rich. With these silver leaves and fire phoenix fruits, the strength of Lin Xian and the others would increase again. The Crimson Dragon would recover a lot of cultivation, while Lin Xian and Zhao Shui could use this to strengthen the power of their martial souls. Especially Lin Xian, he could revive the Great Dragon Sword Soul again. Once the Great Dragon Sword Soul was revived to the level of a 7th level venerable, his combat strength would increase greatly, reaching a very terrifying level. At that time, even if he encountered a monster at the level of the tree demon, he would not need the 10,000 bee sting. He could defeat it with his own strength. Lin Xian and the others were sharing the spirit fruits, while Duan Tianlang and the people of the Divine Bird Palace were gnashing their teeth in anger. That was half of the silver leaves and fire phoenix fruits. If they obtained them, their cultivation would definitely increase by another level. Therefore, how could they not be jealous? At this moment, they looked at Lin Xian like red-eyed rabbits, staring straight ahead. They could not defeat the ancient tree demon, but this did not mean that they did not dare to attack Lin Xian. The tree demon was an 8-star demon general, and they could not defeat it. However, Lin Xian only had 2 people on his side, and their strength was comparable to theirs. They had more people on their side, and if they attacked with all their strength, they might be able to defeat the tree demon. Thinking of this, Duan Tianlang was excited. Then, he glanced at the Divine Bird Palace and saw that their eyes were also red, and he immediately grinned. Needless to say, the other party must have the same idea as him. So when their eyes met, they knew what each other was thinking. Keep a distance, don't get too close to the tree demon, or it will be inconvenient for us to attack. Duan Tianlang quickly instructed. Suddenly, those warriors slowly retreated, but they retreated in a very orderly manner, forming a semicircle, directly blocking all of Lin Xian's escape routes. In other words, no matter which direction Lin Xian fled in, he would encounter them unless he chose not to run. Lin Xian naturally noticed Duan Tianlang's actions and immediately sneered. What? You can't get it yourself? So you want to snatch it from me? Brat, you're too greedy. You actually dared to take half of the spiritual fruits. Duan Tianlang snorted coldly. If you know what's good for you, hand over the spirit fruit and the silver leaf, and I can let you live. Otherwise, this will be your burial ground today. What big words. I'm afraid you don't have the ability. Lin Xian took a step forward, and a terrifying intense sword from his body. Zhao Shui's expression was as cold as ice. 2 rays of cold light shot out from her eyes. She didn't say anything, but her actions still showed that she would fight side by side with Lin Xian. The Crimson Dragon and the Snow White Monkey were leisurely watching the show while eating spiritual fruits. These battles didn't require them to take part in them. Come at me together. None of you are a match for me in a one-on-one fight. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous, and his eyes shone like sword radiance. His entire body exuded a sharp sword aura, making him look like a sword immortal. Since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. Duan Tianlang snorted coldly, then said to the elder of the Divine Bird Palace beside him, I'll lead people to deal with that brat. Divine Bird Palace, take care of that woman. This time, don't hold back. Don't worry, I won't let them escape this time. The elder of the Divine Bird Palace also revealed a ferocious smile. Duan Tianlang nodded with satisfaction, then waved his hand and led the powerful venerables in the team to rush forward. In addition to him, there were 4 warriors at the peak of the 6th heaven of the venerable realm. When the 4 of them worked together, their combat strength was not inferior to a 7th heaven of the venerable realm. As for the other warriors, Duan Tianlang didn't let them go. This was because he had to bring out elite warriors to deal with Lin Xian. Otherwise, the others would only cause trouble. Although there weren't many people, he was quite confident because he had 2 7th heaven of the venerable realm on his side. He didn't believe that a 6th heaven of the venerable realm kid could take them on. Although Lin Xian had taken out a small black cauldron to scare the tree demon, in Duan Tianlang's opinion, the small black cauldron only seemed to be effective against demonic beasts. Therefore, he wasn't that worried. In the next moment, Duan Tianlang roared angrily, and a dazzling light burst out from his eyes. Beside him, the demonic wolf martial soul quickly condensed. With a wave of his hand, the earth demonic wolf roared and let out a terrifying roar that shook heaven and earth. Seeing that Duan Tianlang had summoned the demonic wolf martial soul, Lin Xian snorted coldly and quickly summoned his human-shaped lightning martial soul. Then, the 2 martial souls quickly clashed in the air, and a violent energy burst out. It was as deafening as the waves of the sea. On the other side, the 4 6th heaven of the venerable realm quickly combined and formed a formation. Then, they quickly rushed towards Lin Xian. This formation was very mysterious. It was a sword formation, and when combined, it exploded with power that wasn't inferior to a 7th heaven of the venerable realm. At this moment, Lin Xian was still controlling his martial soul to fight with Duan Tianlang. Under normal circumstances, he wouldn't have the extra energy to deal with the 4 peak warriors. On the other hand, Zhao Shui was restrained by the red divine bird and couldn't help at all. Therefore, In everyone's opinion, Lin Xian was completely in danger. However, Lin Xian's expression was rather calm, and he didn't panic at all. Beside him, the 4 different attributes of wind, lightning, metal, and fire rolled quickly and condensed into 4 light swords. The 4 light swords had different auras, but without exception, they were all filled with murderous aura. They were like shocking dragons that made people tremble in fear. As Lin Xian fought with Duan Tianlang, he stretched out his left hand and drew a line in the air. Suddenly, the 4 light swords beside him made a clanging sound. One by one, they soared into the sky and slashed forward. The 4 different powers of wind, lightning, metal, and fire exploded rapidly, and a powerful force blasted towards the 4 peak warriors. Under the control of Lin Xian, the 4 light swords exploded with boundless energy. Terrifying sword shadows tore through the sky and slashed the bodies of the 4 peak warriors. After one strike, the 4 peak 6th heavenly layer martial artists spat out mouthfuls of blood and flew backwards. The 4 light swords followed like shadows, leaving streaks of sword radiance in the air as they slashed down once again. In just 2 moves, the formation formed by the 4 6th heaven venerables was destroyed, and the 4 peak warriors were severely injured. There's no need to send people with such abilities. They're meaningless to me. Lin Xian's voice was cold. With a wave of his hand, he summoned the 4 light swords back to his side. The 4 light swords quickly circled around him, forming a sword screen for defense. Brat, you're courting death. When Duan Tianlang saw this, he was mad with anger. He didn't expect the sword formation to be defeated so quickly. Moreover, what shocked him even more was that Lin Xian had maintained a calm demeanor from the beginning to the end of the battle. This caused him to have no confidence at all. Chapter 1190. No, I can't let this drag on any longer. Otherwise, his aura will become stronger and stronger. Duan Tianlang's face was gloomy. He knew that the battle was not only a contest of combat power, but also of aura. If he allowed his opponent's aura to grow without limit, he would be in danger. Therefore, he decided to use some of his ultimate skills. In the next moment, Duan Tianlang waved his palm. Mysterious trajectories were drawn in the air. Then, 3 dazzling green blades quickly condensed in the air. Following Duan Tianlang's movements, they were like blades of death as they quickly slashed towards Lin Xian. Meanwhile, his left hand fused with the demon wolf martial soul beside him. Then, he punched out. Suddenly, a destructive force quickly surged forward. Feeling this force, all the martial artists trembled involuntarily. However, their faces were filled with ecstasy. This was because they thought that Lin Xian would definitely not be able to resist this force. As long as Lin Xian was killed, those things would be theirs. Thinking of this, they all became excited. Facing Duan Tianlang's terrifying attack, Lin Xian stood where he was. He did not dodge, but his eyes were brighter than lightning. He pulled out the Lone Star sword from his back and quickly slashed twice. One sword slashed towards the 3 blades in the sky, while the other sword stabbed towards the wolf head fist in front of him. These 2 swords contained the power of the dragon sword soul. Their combat power was extremely strong. Therefore, when the 2 swords collided, the entire sky exploded violently. The energy was like a raging wave that slapped in all directions and sent all the martial artists in the distance flying. Duan Tianlang bore the brunt of it. His 2 attacks were both blasted away by Lin Xian's sword chi. He was also hit by the sword chi and was sent flying. There was a 1-foot-long wound on his abdomen that almost cut him in half. What? How can this be? Duan Tianlang covered the wound on his abdomen in horror and quickly retreated. It was too terrifying. 2 swords had shattered his attack and even injured him. This was something that he had never encountered before. One must know that even though he was not a peak 7th level Venerable Realm expert, he was still very powerful. Very few people of the same cultivation level could defeat him, let alone defeat him so easily. However, his current opponent was not a peak 7th level martial artist, but a youth whose cultivation was merely at the 6th level. He couldn't help but be terrified. What? Elder Duan is injured? Damn it, I don't believe it. I must be dreaming. How is this possible? Careless. It must be Elder Duan's carelessness that allowed that kid to succeed. In the distance, those martial artists crawled up from the ground. When they saw the injured Elder Duan, they were immediately terrified. However, no matter how much they howled, they could not change the fact in front of them. On the other side, the Elder of Divine Bird Palace saw this scene and felt his scalp tingle. He did not dare to fight anymore and quickly retreated with his people. It couldn't be helped. The scene in front of him was too frightening. Duan Tianlang was not inferior to him and was even slightly stronger than him. However, at this moment, he was injured by 2 swords. This was simply too shocking. His battle with Zhao Shui wasn't going well either. The woman in white was suppressing him. It wouldn't be long before he was defeated. Therefore, he had no choice but to retreat. You want to snatch the treasure? You're not qualified. If you don't want to die, scram. Lin Xian shouted coldly and turned to leave. However, at this moment, another cold voice came from behind. Kid, you're very arrogant. How dare you injure someone from Palace of Ares? If you don't hand over the treasure today, don't leave. This voice was unusually cold and emotionless. It was filled with endless murderous intent. Hearing this voice, Duan Tianlang's originally frightened expression eased a little. The disciples around him also quickly cheered. Senior Brother Yin, that's Senior Brother Yan's voice. Great, Senior Brother Yin Feng is here. That kid is definitely dead. How dare he injure our people? Senior Brother Yin will not let him go. A group of disciples from Palace of Ares sneered. Lin Xian heard the voice from behind and frowned. He naturally knew that Yin Feng was here. However, so what if he was here? The current him was not afraid of Yin Feng. Therefore, without any hesitation, Lin Xian swung his sword and slashed behind him. The long sword swept across the sky and a huge sword chi shone brightly. It was like a shocking rainbow as it slashed down fiercely. You're courting death. The voice was enraged. He did not expect that Lin Xian would dare to attack. Then, the void split open and a dazzling blade radiance quickly swept across the sky and collided with the sword chi. The collision of the blade and sword created a terrifying wave of energy that surged in all directions. Suddenly, the entire void trembled and terrifying cracks appeared. Kid, you're too arrogant. Today, I'll make you pay with your life. Yin Feng's face was cold and his eyes were like lightning. It was extremely terrifying. Say that after you've succeeded. If you want the treasure, bring it on. Facing the famous Yin Feng, Lin Xian did not care. He waved his hand and his expression was filled with boundless battle intent. Then, without waiting for Yin Feng to attack, Lin Xian strode forward. He was very fast and arrived in front of Yin Feng in one step. The Lone Star sword in his hand slashed down fiercely. In his left hand, a thunderbolt sword quickly condensed and slashed toward Yin Feng's waist. In an instant, 2 sword radiances flashed and attacked Yin Feng's vital points. Seeing this, Duan Tianlang and the elders of the Divine Bird Palace changed their expressions. Their eyes were filled with fear because they realized that if they were in Yin Feng's position, they would not be able to dodge these 2 sword attacks. Thinking of this, they felt a lingering fear, especially Duan Tianlang. His body could not help but tremble. He realized that Lin Xian did not use his full strength when fighting with him. Otherwise, he would have been a dead man. The surrounding warriors were even more nervous. They did not expect that Lin Xian would still dare to attack Yin Feng. Moreover, he used 2 killing moves at once. This made them worried for Yin Feng. However, Yin Feng's reputation was not undeserved. His strength was far above Duan Tianlang's. Therefore, in the face of these 2 fatal attacks, he was not nervous at all. He waved the long saber in his hand and formed 2 saber radiances. He quickly slashed out diagonally. The saber slashed the Lone Star sword. As for the thunderbolt sword at his waist, he chose to punch it. In an instant, he received Lin Xian's attack. However, Lin Xian's face was calm. He did not have any emotional reaction because of these 2 attacks. He knew very well that these 2 attacks would not be able to kill Yin Feng. Otherwise, he would not be Yin Feng. Lin Xian did not retreat. Instead, he strode forward and quickly flew into the distance. At the same time, the long sword in his hand stabbed out again. Every attack was extremely sharp and aimed at Yin Feng's vital points. Chapter 1191. Yin Feng roared as he brandished his long saber. Countless saber shadows danced in the air, blocking all the sword chi. However, the sword chi contained the power of the great dragon sword soul. It was incomparably powerful, so even if Yin Feng blocked it all, the terrifying power still caused his long blade to tremble. The entire space was submerged, and countless terrifying cracks spread out. However, he was still extremely powerful, so he managed to neutralize all of Lin Xian's sword chi. Yin Feng was able to block Lin Xian's sword chi. If it were Duan Tianlang and the others, they would have died long ago. However, although Yin Feng managed to block the sword chi, his expression was very ugly. Not long ago, he was still an ant. But now, he was actually a threat to him. This made him unable to calm down. Although he did not know why Lin Xian was so strong, in his opinion, the young man in front of him was a strong enemy. He had to get rid of him as soon as possible. Otherwise, things would be difficult to control in the future. Therefore, Yin Feng did not plan to hold back. Streaks of dazzling saber aura formed on his body, sweeping in all directions. The long saber in his hand also seemed to have become a sharp and unstoppable killing weapon. Countless saber lights were like the waves of the sea. They were strange and terrifying. That's the 8-ocean abyssal saber. Seeing this, the disciples of the Palace of Gods of War exclaimed, 8-ocean abyssal saber, that's an Earth-class martial art? Senior brother Yin Feng is serious. It seems that Lin Xian is dead for sure. Seeing Yin Feng use the Earth-class martial art, the 8-ocean abyssal saber, hope rose in everyone's hearts. The 8-ocean abyssal saber was an Earth-class martial art. It was an ultimate martial art of the Palace of Gods of War. This saber art was not powerful, but it was very difficult to practice. However, Yin Feng was talented and had mastered the 8-ocean abyssal saber to 70% at such a young age. Usually, 50% was the initial stage, but Yin Feng had mastered it to 70%, which was beyond the initial stage. He was not far from the greater stage. Once the Earth-class saber art was used, its power was immediately revealed. Endless saber lights bloomed, and a terrifying aura covered the sky. They quickly slashed towards Lin Xian. This time, there was finally a change in Lin Xian's expression. This was because his opponent's saber technique was simply too powerful. However, he was only moved, and he wasn't afraid, because he also had Earth-rank martial arts. Moreover, he didn't think that he would lose to his opponent in the usage of Earth-rank martial arts. Therefore, at the next moment, Lin Xian brandished his Lone Star sword and performed the Gale Lightning sword technique. A firmament sword shadow covered the sky, and a terrifying aura crushed down on everything. Lin Xian slashed out with his long sword, and a bright light illuminated the entire sky. Sword chi against saber light, Earth-rank martial arts against Earth-rank martial arts. The two of them were evenly matched, slaughtering in all directions. In an instant, the entire void was submerged. Terrifying black holes appeared in many places, as if they could devour everything. What? He blocked it? How is this possible? The surrounding disciples were all stunned. They didn't expect Lin Xian to be able to block Yin Feng's Ocean Abyss 8 sabers. This was simply inconceivable. One had to know that Yin Feng was an exceptionally powerful 7th Heaven Honorable Realm cultivator, and he had an Earth-rank martial arts. Not many people could resist him. However, Lin Xian, a 6th Heaven Honorable Realm cultivator, actually blocked it. Damn it! How is this possible? The disciples of the Palace of Gods of War had ugly expressions. Duan Tianlang's expression was also ferocious, because he could also see that Lin Xian's sword technique was also an Earth-rank martial arts. However, this wasn't enough to shock him, because he already knew that Lin Xian had an Earth-rank martial arts. What shocked him was that Lin Xian's comprehension of Earth-rank martial arts was actually not inferior to Yin Feng's. This was simply unbelievable. One had to know that Yin Feng was exceptionally talented, and he was also an extremely dazzling existence among the younger disciples of the Palace of Gods of War. Very few people in the younger generation could compete with Yin Feng. Yin Feng was even more shocked. He originally thought that he could kill Lin Xian with his Ocean Abyss 8 sabers, but he didn't expect Lin Xian to block it, especially those huge swords that soared into the sky. They weren't inferior to his saber technique at all. Damn brat, die! Yin Feng roared and swung his saber with all his might. The opponent in front of him was the strangest one he had ever met. So no matter what, he couldn't give Lin Xian any room to grow. Otherwise, it wouldn't be long before he couldn't suppress Lin Xian at all. He couldn't allow such a threat to exist, and Lin Xian was someone that the higher-ups of the Palace of Gods of War had ordered to kill. Therefore, Yin Feng had to kill him no matter what. Brat, I have to admit that you're very strong, but unfortunately, you're definitely going to die. Yin Feng's voice was cold. Ocean Abyss 8 sabers, Dragon King Tsunami. Suddenly, a huge saber light soared into the sky, and a bone-piercing murderous aura spread out between heaven and earth. A terrifying force surged out, causing all the nearby cultivators to tremble. Even the ancient tree put up a layer of defense, so one could imagine how terrifying the saber light was. Gale Lightning Sword Technique, Fourth Sword Technique, Heaven and Earth Collapse. At this critical moment, Lin Xian also used a powerful killing move, and 4 firmament sword shadows quickly descended. In an instant, a terrifying sword chi enveloped the entire space. Countless sword lights swept out in all directions, and the entire space was quickly annihilated. A terrifying explosion of energy was about to devour the entire space. Countless cracks appeared in the void like a spider web, causing one's heart to tremble. Just as the entire space was about to collapse, a blurry light was emitted from Pine Palace, and a mysterious force quickly protected the entire space. It was only because of this mystical power that the entire space quieted down. Otherwise, under such a terrifying impact, it would definitely have collapsed. Although the entire space had calmed down, the terrifying force was still there. The surrounding cultivators were all heavily injured from the impact. Yin Feng was even more battered and exhausted. His hair was disheveled, and there were sword wounds on his body. One of them had directly slashed his chest, causing his bones to be exposed. He had almost been cut in half. Defeated. He had actually been defeated in the final confrontation. He couldn't accept it. He was a peak 7th heaven venerable lord, a peerless genius of the younger generation. His combat strength was unparalleled, and even the older generation could only look up to him. However, he had been defeated by a 6th heaven venerable lord. This kind of defeat drove him crazy. Brat, you've completely infuriated me. I'll make you pay a painful price. Yin Feng's expression was ferocious like a demon. The spiritual energy in his body was quickly twisting, and it was obvious that he wanted to use a secret technique. The surrounding cultivators had yet to recover from their shock, and their expressions changed drastically when they saw Yin Feng going all out. However, they couldn't stop him in time. Lin Xian's face darkened when he saw this. It was obvious that Yin Feng wanted to fight to the death with him, but he didn't have time to waste with him. Moreover, he sensed several powerful forces gathering in the distance. If he didn't leave now, he was afraid that he would be besieged. That would be dangerous. Chapter 1192. Yin Feng wanted to fight Lin Xian to the death. However, Lin Xian did not have the time to waste with him. He sensed that there were several powerful forces gathering in the distance. If he did not leave now, he would be surrounded and attacked. That would be dangerous. You're no match for me at all. This has already been proven. I don't have time to play with you. If you want revenge, wait until you have a breakthrough in your cultivation. Lin Xian turned to leave. You want to leave? Not so easy. Yin Feng went crazy. How could he let Lin Xian leave? He had to defeat Lin Xian in order to vent his anger. He chased after him like a meteor. You are courting death. Lin Xian was furious when he saw that Yin Feng was not going to let him go. In the next moment, he took out the red lotus boxing glove and put it on his left hand. Then, he slammed it behind him. Boom! The sky cracked again, and a huge red palm shadow descended from the sky. It quickly slammed onto Yin Feng's body and sent him flying. The hard ground had already been shattered. There was a huge palm print on it, and in the middle of the palm print lay an extremely wretched figure. That figure was Yin Feng. At this moment, many of his bones were broken, and he had suffered serious internal injuries. However, these were not comparable to the mental injuries he had suffered. Shock, fear, disbelief, and all kinds of emotions filled his heart. This scene was too shocking. Yin Feng had seriously injured him with a single palm. This was completely beyond his imagination. In fact, he was not the only one. The warriors around him were even more shocked. They knew very well who the person in front of them was. None of them were a match for Yin Feng. However, such a powerful person had been injured by a single palm. This shocked them. Impossible. What was that red palm shadow? How could it be so powerful? Duan Tianlang was terrified. The elders of Divine Bird Palace were not any better. They were scared when they thought about their attitude toward Lin Xian. If Lin Xian had used that thing to deal with him from the beginning, they would have been dead by now. Thinking of this, they looked at the departing figure with faces full of fear. The last palm strike was naturally the power of the red lotus gloves. It wasn't that Lin Xian didn't want to keep using it, but that it consumed a lot of energy. If he hadn't been forced into a corner, Lin Xian wouldn't have used this move. However, he was still very satisfied with the effect of this palm strike. Although he had used up a lot of his energy, he had still managed to injure Yin Feng. Without anyone stopping them, Lin Xian called out to Zhao Shui and quickly left the place. Not long after Lin Xian and the others left, several powerful figures quickly descended. Among them was the mysterious expert from the Palace of Ares. He looked at the scene around him and furrowed his brows. The arrival of the mysterious expert allowed the people from the Palace of Ares to heave a sigh of relief. Their expressions eased quite a bit. However, the mysterious venerable master did not pay attention to those ordinary disciples. Instead, he stared at Yin Feng. Then, he took out a pill from his storage ring and gave it to Yin Feng. Yin Feng took the pill and quickly swallowed it. Immediately, the injuries on his body healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Not long after, he was as good as new. However, his expression was very ugly. The shadow of his defeat was still lingering in his heart. At this moment, the mysterious venerable master said in a deep voice, "Don't worry, we won't let that kid off. Not to mention other things. Just that kid's identity is enough to kill him 1,000 times." "I know." Yin Feng nodded silently. "Are you very upset that you lost to him? Don't worry, we'll attack this tree demon now. After you swallow the fire phoenix and your strength increases, I'll let you deal with that kid personally." Hearing this, Yin Feng's eyes gradually regained their luster. He clenched his fists and his voice was extremely ferocious. "Lin Xian, I'll definitely pay you back 100 times for what you did today." Lin Xian and Zhao Shui left the ancient tree and found a quiet place to rest. This place was very remote, and there were no precious treasures around. Furthermore, the Crimson Dragon had set up a formation, so it was very safe. Then, Lin Xian sat down cross-legged and began to tidy up the spoils of war. There were actually only two things, the silver leaf and the fire phoenix fruit. Lin Xian had a total of 10 fire phoenix fruits and 50 silver leaves. Don't underestimate this. It was enough to make an 8th heaven or even 9th heaven venerable master go crazy. However, the martial soul could only be improved when the silver leaf and the fire phoenix fruit were used together. In this way, Lin Xian had a total of 10 silver leaves. As for the extra silver leaves, he did not plan to waste them. This was because these silver leaves could increase one's soul power. They were priceless treasures to him. Lin Xian took a silver leaf and began to cultivate his soul power. Feeling the changes in his soul power, Lin Xian smiled. Then, he took out a few more silver leaves and began to cultivate quickly. Half a day later, Lin Xian's soul power had a breakthrough and reached the level of a 7th-tier alchemist. Now, he could refine 7th-tier elixirs without using 10,000 bee sting. Once he used 10,000 bee sting, he could even refine 8th-tier elixirs. This was undoubtedly a huge breakthrough for him. One had to know that a 7th-tier alchemist was already very precious, and an 8th-tier alchemist was even rarer. If he could refine 8th-tier elixirs, his identity alone would be enough to make him a VIP of many large forces. After his soul power increased, Lin Xian began to use the silver leaf and the fire phoenix fruit at the same time. This time, he wanted to increase the power of the great dragon sword soul to the 8th heaven venerable master. It had been 3 days since they entered the Pine Palace. In these 3 days, it was as if they had entered a treasure trove. This was because almost every place had rare treasures that were hard to find in the outside world. These people were crazily collecting them. They were desperately trying to increase their strength. For a time, even the threat of the heavenly netherbird had decreased by a lot. Many martial artists were gathered near a huge rock as if they were guarding something. Sitting on the boulder was a young man with a cold expression. If there were other people here, they would definitely recognize this young man as Yin Feng from the Palace of Gods of War. Suddenly, a powerful spiritual energy erupted from Yin Feng's body. It was like a volcano erupting in an instant. That berserk power blew those surrounding martial artists who were guarding all over the place in all directions. The huge rock under his feet turned into powder in an instant. In the next moment, Yin Feng opened his eyes. His gaze was like lightning that pierced through the void. His eyes were filled with ecstasy. He raised his arms and roared into the sky. The sound was so terrifying that it made everyone's ears bleed. Countless clouds in the sky were scattered. The surrounding martial artists quickly sealed their hearing and retreated in fear. This is the power of an 8th heaven venerable master. He broke through. He really broke through. All the martial artists looked at Yin Feng with envy. Chapter 1193. 3 days ago, the mysterious supremacy had led them to attack the ancient tree and obtain some silver leaves and fiery wind fruits. Yin Feng had obtained some because he was a genius from the Palace of Gods of War. He was already a peak 7th heaven venerable realm cultivator. Now, with the help of the fiery phoenix fruit, he had finally broken through to the 8th heaven venerable realm. An 8th heaven supremacy could be considered a peerless expert. Even in the House of Kings, there weren't many of them. Furthermore, every 8th heaven venerate had an extremely honorable status. Even in the House of Kings, they were elders with real power. Moreover, it was very difficult to break through to the 8th heaven supremacy. In addition to extraordinary talent, one also needed a fortuitous encounter and a huge amount of resources. Even so, those who had broken through to the 8th heaven supremacy had white hair. It was very rare for someone as young as Yin Feng to break through to the 8th heaven supremacy. Yin Feng felt the enormous power in his body and immediately revealed an arrogant smile. Lin Xian, the next time we meet, it'll be the time of your death. Lin Xian slowly opened his eyes and stopped cultivating. Then, a smile appeared on his face. With a wave of his hand, a dragon-shaped sword shadow quickly condensed. This dragon-shaped sword shadow was more solid than before. One could even see the dragon scales on it. That's right. This was Lin Xian's sword soul. It had successfully broken through to the 8th heaven supremacy realm. This breakthrough was very smooth because the silver leaves and fiery wind fruits were really heaven-defying items. Lin Xian didn't need to do anything. The pure energy flowed into the great dragon sword soul, allowing it to recover quickly. Not only that, his cultivation had also reached the 7th heaven supremacy realm. Now, a 7th heaven supremacy was no longer a threat to him. Even an 8th heaven supremacy might not be able to defeat him. This was the benefit of the great dragon sword soul. Its powerful combat power allowed Lin Xian to fight across realms. This made up for his lack of age. One had to know that it had only been 4 to 5 years since Xian started cultivating. Compared to the other geniuses, it could be said that he had cultivated for a very short time. However, it was precisely because of the great dragon sword spirit that he was able to contend against those elders. Of course, just having the great dragon sword soul was not enough. It also required tenacious willpower and unremitting efforts. Fortunately, Lin Xian had achieved all of these. In a good mood, Lin Xian stood up and looked around. Among them, The crimson dragon was lying on the side. He had also swallowed the fire phoenix fruit and the silver leaf. His cultivation had also recovered a lot, reaching the 6th firmament of the venerable realm. Although this kind of progress could be said to be slow for the crimson dragon in the past, however, it was not discouraged because they would soon be able to fight the heavenly netherbird. If it could obtain the heavenly netherbird's essence blood, it would be able to greatly increase its cultivation. Moreover, Lin Xian had also collected a lot of natural treasures, so he could exchange them for that drop of dragon blood when he returned to the academy. Therefore, it was only a matter of time before the crimson dragon's cultivation increased. Lin Xian's gaze shifted from the crimson dragon to Zhao Shui. At this moment, Zhao Shui was sitting cross-legged like a beautiful fairy. Her aura was even stronger, reaching the peak of the 7th firmament of the venerable realm. However, it seemed that it was impossible for her to break through to the 8th firmament of the venerable realm. In fact, this was normal. The further one cultivated, the harder it was to break through. This was especially so for the last few firmament of the venerable realm. It required an extremely large amount of energy, which was several times more than the previous firmament of the venerable realm. For example, Yin Feng was already at the peak of the 7th firmament of the venerable realm. He was only able to break through after consuming the fire phoenix fruit. Zhao Shui's cultivation was originally at the 7th firmament of the venerable realm. Now that she had reached the peak of the 7th firmament of the venerable realm, it could be said that she had greatly improved. Moreover, she was the same as Lin Xian. She was also an extremely special martial artist who could fight above her cultivation level. At this moment, the virtual sky eye behind Zhao Shui had become more solid than before. It was like a real eye, which was very strange and mysterious. Not only that, the eye also emitted a power that surpassed the 7th firmament of the venerable realm. Even Lin Xian felt a chill run down his spine. After an incense stick's time, Zhao Shui opened her eyes and sighed softly. I've already absorbed all the energy in the dragon pearl. However, I've only reached the peak of the 7th firmament of the venerable realm. I haven't broken through to the 8th firmament of the venerable realm. It's okay. There are many treasures in the Pine Palace. We still have a chance, Lin Xian comforted with a smile. Zhao Shui nodded and smiled sweetly. It's not that bad. Most of the energy I've absorbed has flowed into the virtual sky eye. Yes, my eye technique has evolved again, which has greatly improved my strength. I can even fight against an 8th firmament of the venerable realm. Lin Xian believed in this very much. Although the virtual sky eye was inferior to his dragon sword soul, it was still very powerful. It should be able to fight against an 8th firmament of the venerable realm. After their cultivation had improved, the two of them set off again. This time, they decided that they had to obtain more natural treasures. This way, they could still improve their strength. At the thought of this, the two of them flashed and quickly flew into the distance. At the same time, the cultivators of the Shen family gathered in a palace. No, this is infuriating. I can't take this lying down. I must kill that brat. Ninth young master gritted his teeth. The brat he was referring to was naturally Lin Xian. He naturally had no enmity with Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian's relationship with Murong Qingcheng was not subtle. This made him extremely jealous. Therefore, he wanted to kill Lin Xian by any means possible. Young master, that brat is very strange. If we act rashly, we might not succeed. An elder advised. But I can't take this lying down. Ninth young master had naturally heard of Lin Xian's various achievements. He also knew that his opponent was very difficult to deal with. However, it was difficult for him to give up just like that. Young master, I have an idea. At this moment, a cultivator spoke up. What is it? Tell me quickly. Ninth young master was overjoyed when he heard this. Although we can't catch that brat in a short period of time, we can target him from other places. Doesn't that brat often attack the major forces? If he attacks Murong Qingqing and snatches the treasures of the Murong family, before he could finish his sentence, the ninth princess was already jumping with joy. This was a brilliant idea. If Lin Xian attacked Murong Qingqing, the relationship between them would definitely break down. However, someone did not understand. Lin Xian is not stupid. Why would he attack Morong Qingqing? This is very simple. We can find someone to pretend to be Lin Xian. This way, the problem will be solved. Young master, I have mastered a secret skill that allows me to transform into someone else's appearance. It is very difficult for cultivators below the challenger level to detect me. A seventh heaven supremacy said, "Good, good, good." Ninth young master clapped his hands happily. Don't worry. As long as this matter is completed, I will not mistreat any of you. Chapter 1194. Jiugongzi clapped his hands happily. Don't worry. As long as this mission is completed, I won't mistreat any of you. Thank you, Jiugongzi. The group of warriors rejoiced. They had no choice. Although they were all disciples of the Shin family, compared to Jiugongzi's status, there was still a big gap. If they could help Jiugongzi complete this mission, their status in the family would definitely rise greatly when they returned. Many of them were excited at the thought of this. The middle-aged man who had spoken earlier also used a secret technique. Immediately, a series of crackling sounds came from his body. Under everyone's astonished gazes, the middle-aged man turned into Lin Xian. His height and appearance were exactly the same. Upon closer inspection, it was impossible to tell the difference. Jiugongzi clapped his hands and cheered. Then, he reminded Jiugongzi again. That kid is a swordsman. You must pay attention to that. Also, his cultivation level is not high, so you must hide part of it. However, when you attack, you must show the strength of a seventh heavenly layer. Don't worry, Gongzi. I promise to complete the mission. Then, the fake Lin Xian grinned maliciously. He quickly used his movement technique and ran into the distance. In front of a palace, several elders were rapidly attacking a defensive light screen. Behind these people, there were many martial artists. Among them, there was a beautiful woman in a purple dress. They had not expected to find cold light iron here. What a pleasant surprise. This woman was naturally Morong Qingqing. At this moment, her beautiful eyes were looking at the pieces of metal in the light screen in front of her, and she smiled. The silver-haired granny beside her also smiled. Yes, cold light iron was an excellent material for refining weapons. It was already extinct in the outside world. Who would have thought that it could be found here? Moreover, there seemed to be a lot of them. Looking at the pieces inside, if they were refined, they would be able to refine at least 3.5 Earth-grade treasures. This was a huge fortune for any family. In front, several elders were attacking the light screen with all their might. These elders were very powerful. Their combined attacks caused the light screen to tremble. The light screen did not last long. Cracking sounds came from it, and it finally shattered like glass. Great! The seal is broken. The disciples of the Morong family cheered. Morong Qingqing also smiled. However, at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared. He was as fast as lightning as he dashed towards the few pieces of cold light iron. Who is it? You're courting death. The elders at the front were furious. They didn't expect that someone would dare to take their Morong family's belongings. Immediately, many people made their moves. However, that figure was very strange. He actually dodged all the attacks and quickly snatched the 2 pieces of cold light iron. There were a total of 4 pieces of cold light iron on the ground, and at this moment, half of them were gone. This directly provoked the Morong family. Damn it, stay here. An old man was enraged. He reached out with a terrifying hand that covered the entire area. The surrounding warriors also quickly took action. They formed an encirclement to stop that person. The giant hand that covered the sky slammed down mercilessly. It was as if tens of thousands of giant mountains were crashing down from the sky. At the critical moment, that person snorted coldly. Then, a dazzling sword light flashed. The dazzling sword chi slashed hard at the giant hand that covered the sky. Immediately, that old man was forced to take a few steps back. At the same time, that figure also appeared from the void. What? It's you. When the surrounding people saw that figure, they were all stunned. Even Morong Qingqing was dazed for a second. Lin Xian, why are you here? Morong Qingqing was very surprised. She didn't expect that Lin Xian would attack the Morong family. However, Lin Xian smiled faintly. Where there are treasures, I will naturally appear. After saying that, he quickly put the 2 pieces of cold light iron into his storage ring. Seeing this scene, the warriors of the Morong family were enraged. Kid, although you helped the Morong family, it's impossible for you to steal our belongings. If you need this thing, you only need to tell our family and we will give you a piece. However, your current behavior is truly disappointing. Do I need to tell you what I want? Lin Xian snorted coldly. For Morong Qingqing's sake, I won't kill you. Get out of here, or don't blame me for being ruthless. How dare you? Fine. I'd like to see what kind of ability you have that you dare to go against the Morong family. The group of old men was furious. However, Morong Qingqing frowned. She quickly stepped forward to stop those old men. Then, she turned to Lin Xian. Are you in any trouble? Tell me and I can help you. Trouble? What's the trouble? My Lone Star Sword needs to be upgraded. This cold light iron is useful to me. If you want to help me, give me the remaining 2 pieces. Young mistress, don't be fooled by this kid. He's obviously a greedy guy. That's right. I thought he was a good person, but now it seems that he's not. The group of old men glared at Lin Xian, their eyes burning with anger. On the other hand, Morong Qingqing frowned even tighter, because in her impression, Lin Xian was not this kind of person. She even suspected that this Lin Xian was a fake. However, she did not find any flaws except for his personality. Young mistress, don't talk nonsense with him. Capture this kid. A few old men shouted angrily. Then, they quickly attacked Lin Xian. Lin Xian, on the other hand, sneered and moved. Countless beams of sword light slashed out, forcibly carving out a path. Damn it! Everyone looked at the escaping figure in anger. However, Morong Qingqing frowned. She definitely did not believe that it was Lin Xian. Although she did not believe it, the others believed it without a doubt. Moreover, those people hated Lin Xian. This made Morong Qingqing's expression very ugly. She sharply sensed that someone seemed to be trying to sow discord between her and Lin Xian. However, she did not have any evidence at the moment, so she could not convince the others. It seemed that she could only wait until the next time she caught that person and exposed his true identity in front of everyone. Only then would everyone believe it. According to Morong Qingqing's guess, if someone wanted to destroy her relationship with Lin Xian, they would not only attack once. In other words, that person would come again. Sure enough, not long after, when they found another treasure land, Lin Xian came again. This time, Morong Qingqing also attacked personally. However, she still let the other party escape because the other party did not fight with her at all. Instead, he relied on his movement technique to dodge quickly. Of course, this time, the other party stole a lot of good things. This made the Morong family even more furious. When Lin Xian robbed the Morong family for the 3rd time, the Morong family completely lost it. They swore that they would catch that kid. This matter was not hidden at all. Soon, it spread throughout the entire Pine Palace. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.